Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Look at these beautiful people here. Andrea Perron and Merle are here so far, and you know what? We're just gonna bring them on in right off the bat because we love them here and they can hang out. Andrea hasn't been on this show in a few years, but she is one of the most lovely people you'll ever meet in the paranormal. And Merle, well, what can be said about Merle? As we got another edition of Ghosts of the Great White North. Before we bring in our good friends here, let's say hello to everybody in the chat room so far. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position. We have Nicola in the silver with gorgeous Cosmic Fleur taking home the bronze. There's our favorite veteran, Black Dragon, right there. Semper Fi to you, former Marine. And there's Simon West kicking off the Merles tonight. Hey, Simon, good morning to you in the UK. John Doe, nice to have you here. Mennonite Abe, Peppa H, good to have you here. As we continue on, there's Luscious Jules. I believe it may be her birthday today. That's what it said in Thomas Fessler's chat room earlier on. So if it is Luscious Jules, we love you. Happy birthday. And if it's not, well, just enjoy it. Just lie and say that it is. Papa Willie, how you doing? Jason688 is here. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Logan, he's on a Merle attack right now. He'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Continuing on, there's Ben from UFO Garage. He's burling it up. And who else do we have here in the chat room so far? I don't know. I'm just pumped up about tonight. Gorgeous Helena, how are you? Good to see you. As we continue on with roll call. Andrew, how you doing, buddy? Nice to have you back. And Peppa H, I think I said you. Double Tim, nice to see you, buddy. And there is the gorgeous and stunning Laura Elizabeth from Pennsylvania, I believe. Somewhere around there. Nightmare, how are you? Good to see you. As we continue on with roll call. And, of course, another Merle there. Awesome Man Palmer, good to see you. Todd Purden, nice to have you back. And who else do we have in the chat room so far? There's our man Fapster. Good to see you, Fap. How you doing, buddy? And we continue on. Spooky Morales is here. What's going on, Spooky? Nice to see you. As we always appreciate you being here. Hope your trumpet's warmed up for later on. Sweet Donna C, nice to have you back. Wes H, good to see you. The gorgeous Kathy Evans has returned 3 nights in a row. Lovely LaDonna, what is happening? And we continue on. Major Lee, nice to have you here. And there's Uncle Dale and his power stash in Austin, Texas. Remember, if you're in Austin, Texas, and you run into Uncle Dale, rub his power stash for good luck right through the new year. That's how it works around here. I don't make the rules. Uncle Dale does. Well, actually, his power stash does. Continuing on here with the roll call. Sovereign, nice to have you here. As we roll on in, Indrid Cold, good to see you. Philip Blair, good morning to you. The gorgeous Carol, nice to have you back. And Vash the Impaler, 405er, Chad Smith, Carfa Nibre, nice to see you all. Gorgeous Larry, you're looking present. Last Unicorn, nice to see you. Tits McGee is here. She is filling in for a vacationing Veronica Corningstone. And Zark Muckerberg, nice to have you back. Lala looking lovely tonight. There's Lance and Red Cap. Nice to have you here. And, of course, who else do we have? Project Blue Book. Thin Lizzie's looking lovely tonight. Super Quest. Look at Big Fapster there with a giant Merle. And there's Merle even Merling himself. All right, gorgeous Pam McSee, $5,900. Gorgeous Beth, what is happening? Even Laura throwing in another Merle right there. And there's Adrienne Thobin. Welcome to our channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Hi, lovely Shar. Nice to see you. And let's see who else. And we are running out of time here, people. Can we get this done? Lovely Lynn LeBlanc. And my goodness, I don't know if we're going to do it, but we're going to try. There's Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Thanks for coming on in. Grant Tavius, nice to see you. The stunning Pinzer Flactum is here. And hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. John Music, nice to see you. Fabster, thank you for kicking off the super chat. We love you. Horns up. Let's rock right now. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire, and checking out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Yes, it is that time once again where we start to kick off the month with Ghosts of the Great White North. We're going to bring in Merle and Andrea Perron here momentarily, but first I got to talk to you guys. We're going to get more into this in the final half hour of the show, which is the NDAA. Yes, if you haven't heard the news, this is massive today. Massive news coming out of Washington, D.C., where the Senate overwhelmingly approved the defense budget. Why is this important and why are we talking about this? Because the UFO program is in there. It has officially been approved. The only thing stopping it after an 89-11 vote today, the only thing stopping it will be President Joe Biden, who is expected to sign the bill, which means officially UFOs are being searched for by the United States government. No longer in the closet, people. No longer in the closet. This is exciting news for us. Why? Because even though a lot of this stuff is going to remain controversial, a lot of it's going to be hidden and classified, we may get more. And that's all that matters. Before we bring in our guests, let's go to the swamp as Swamp Dweller teases us with another night of spookiness.
And demons. I'll start with.
I think as a blind person, I'm pretty used to.
I will start by saying that I've always been fascinated by the paranormal. Fascinated, but very afraid at the same time. I hope that makes sense. This story takes place in St. Louis. I had moved back there in 2010. I was 20 at the time. I was living there for a few months with my older sister Farah and her daughter Tia. While I was there, her other daughter Roxy came home from jail, and that's when the event occurred. On Roxy's first night out of jail, her and her mom, Farah, went to the casino. By the time that they came home at around 12:30, Tia and I were asleep in 2 different rooms. They were slightly intoxicated and loud when they came in, which woke me up. I didn't move from where I was. I just tried to wait for them to settle down so I could drift back to sleep. Farah thought it would be a good idea for mother and daughter to say a prayer together. They are still in the living room. Once they began to pray aloud, there was a loud growling noise. I could hear from my room that they were puzzled and a little frightened. They thought that maybe they were hearing things. They were not hearing things because it was so loud. I heard it from my bed. I was scared, so I tried to get to sleep as fast as possible. My logic was that if something supernatural was going to happen, hopefully I would sleep through it. I fell asleep but was awakened at 3 a.m. to my niece Tia coming into the room when I slept. She said that she wanted to get her Bible, and something from across her room came. She was visibly shaken, so now that I was up, I was not able to stay alone in my room. Farah, Roxy, and Tia and I were all huddled up in Farah's bed. They told me while I had been asleep, they were hearing stuff. They didn't go into detail because they didn't want to scare me. We were calming down when we began to hearing a tapping sound. It seemed to be coming from the kitchen. We all got up, holding each other, and proceeded to walk in a line to the source of the noise. When we got there, we noticed that there was a plastic cup from Quick Trip, a convenience store Farah and Roxy stopped at before coming home, in the sink. This is significant because my sister swears that it was on the counter at least a foot away from the sink. My sister is examining the cup while Roxy, and Tia, and I are all huddled up in the hallway. Next thing I know, all the dresser doors in the room were just going crazy, opening and closing by themselves. I could not see the drawers from where I was, but I knew the sound. Also, my room was the only one with the dresser. My sister only had a closet. That went on from about 1 minute, but it felt like forever. Once it stopped, me leading the way, we ran past the room to get into Farah's room. That was the last straw for Farah. She picked up her cross and started yelling, "Get out of my house, demon!" She would then yell out prayers and more commands for the bad spirit or whatever it was to get out. I don't know if it worked, but we didn't hear anything anymore that night or any other night. That didn't stop us from staying up the rest of the night though, and everyone sleeping together for the next 2 weeks.
And we thank Mr. Swamp Dweller for coming on in and leading us to tonight's show. Once again, we want to say hello to Merle from Ghosts of the Great White North. Merle is here hanging on out with Ghosts of the Great White North. He is a paranormal investigator out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And of course, tonight we have special guest Andrea Perron, who you may know her. She's been around the paranormal scene for a little while. And now she goes around touring, talking about her life and a life of paranormal and supernatural. We will find out about living in the Conjuring house, what it's like to move on forward, and what she thinks of the house today. Merle, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well today, Dave. Can't wait to be here. It's going to be a fun show. Been excited to talk to Andrea again. Today, Dave, marks the 2-year anniversary of Remember When I Burned Myself and Had to Cancel the Show?
Really? That was 2 years
2
ago
years.
already.
3 years ago.
That was scary, man.
That was horrible.
Yeah, so we're getting right ready for the show, and you kind of clipped your teacup and it spilt all over you. You had to go to the hospital.
I did.
You know?
I did.
But Andrea Perron, it has
She's
been
here.
a long time since we had you on this show, and You have always been a lovely supporter of what we do here on Spaced Out Radio, and thank you so much for your generosity and in being so kind towards us. How you been?
I'm doing very well, actually. COVID kind of threw me. I knew that, Dave, I've been lecturing for more than a decade about the pending paradigm shift. And then when it had the audacity to show up, it flattened me. Let me introduce you to my savior through the paradigm shift. This is Princess Peanut Buttercup, and she's my baby, and she's with me here in Georgia. I'm spending the holidays with my mother and my sisters. My father is going to be flying in from Florida. I came up a couple of days ago. Very much looking forward to just celebrating and enjoying this time during the season of light with my family and my friends. It's been a very busy year. Once I got all vaxxed up and got back out on the road, I think I started in May at Gettysburg and hit the ground running, and I haven't really stopped. I had my last event about 2 weeks ago in Massachusetts. It's been a wild ride. I can't even begin to tell you what the last couple of years have been like. Really a remarkable turn of events. And yes, I couldn't help but nod when you opened the show with the news that we are going to have an official department that just deals with UFOs or their new favorite UAP.
I hate that.
Renaming it doesn't change what it is, folks. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, honey, settle down now.
It's amazing, though, how many people argue that point. No, it's not the same thing. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
You got
I
that
just
right.
gave it a new name, I guess, to sound more ominous or woo, spooky. I don't know. But we can thank Senator Kirsten Gillibrand for inserting that into the bill. She's very serious about this. And she, along with several senators, we can also thank Stephen Bassett for being our ambassador in Washington and the only UFO lobbyist in the world, as far as I know. I know, babe. So he's been banging on doors for a couple of decades, and you got to give him credit for his stick-to-itiveness. I've had him on my show, A World Awakening, and we went for 2.5 hours until he was literally falling over in his chair. And I asked him, I said, Steve, do you have anything left to say? And he's like, no. he's going down for the count. I think I was his third interview that day. He's tenacious as a bulldog. But it's been, long story shortened down to a couple of minutes. It's been a wild ride these last couple of years. I've had increased levels of contact with the galactic family, which I'm always grateful for. And I always say, Dave, I've always said, if I never had contact again, ever, that my life would have been so enriched by what has already occurred. As of this year, I'm a 50-year, half-century experiencer. I'm one of those folks that I just turned 63 in October, and I had my first conscious contact at 13. I know I had contact prior to that. I just don't think I understood what it was. But then at that point, it was clear to me. And I knew one thing absolutely, and that was that we are not alone in the universe. Not by a long shot. So I've lived most of my life with that knowledge. And sometimes people criticize me and say, well, you talk so matter of fact about it, so nonchalantly about it. No, I don't. I'm as filled with wonder as a 5-year-old every time I see something extraordinary, and there's no question what it is. It doesn't have to have 3 letters to identify what is unidentifiable about it. I know what I'm seeing, and I know who they are, and I know why they're here, and I know why I'm here. That's the greatest thing that we can discover in humanity. This is truly, I know Mommy gets very excited. Let's hope that we do not short out the computer tonight. I know. I do. I get as excited as a child on Christmas morning every time I have an encounter, because I'm so thrilled, and I feel this sensation of love rush through me that is something that I refer to as higher love. It's not the same kind of human love that we feel with even our nearest and dearest, our closest family and friends. It's different, and it's universal, and it's magical. Magic being science we don't yet understand. And so I feel graced, and I feel blessed, and in some ways I feel marked. But I take that role on with occasional brevity, but mostly very seriously, because I understand that there are many, many people in the world who follow me and listen to me and know that I am trustworthy and take my word, and it gives me the opportunity to spread the most important message that there is to spread on this entire planet.
Andrea, what's it like being royalty of the paranormal phenomena? Your family, even before the Conjuring movies, really was, I think if I look at the whole royalty aspect, there's a lot of people who love the Warrens, and then your name kind of gets attached to that. And not very many people could be considered true celebrities of the phenomena. You guys were really, really up there regarding that. How has it been living a life as a celebrity like that?
Oh, I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel like there's anything about me or about my family that would be considered celebrities. We live, believe it or not, relatively anonymous lives, especially in the age of COVID, when you can slap a mask on, and if nobody recognizes your eyes, you're good to go. I really don't think of myself or anybody in my family that way. We are just normal people that had some extreme paranormal experiences that we were courageous enough to share. And that's how I think of us. And it's not about, false humility. It's not anything like that. We're no different than anybody else. There are millions and millions of people all around the world that have been touched by spirit, that have been touched by the galactic family. I do believe that there is a point of correlation and integration between the two. I've tried to bring that into the field because I know, well, Dave, that there's a certain level of snobbery in ufology. Well, I've been a ufologist before that friggin' word was even invented, okay? I mean, I've been doing this since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and it has been the most important thing. It changed the entire trajectory of my life. No, I went into college and got a degree in philosophy, studied all the world religions, was trying to find out what is the pertinence? What is the significance? What is the correlation? How is everything integrated? I have over 5 decades of studying this. And believe me, when I started, there was nothing to study. There was hardly anything written on the subject in the late 60s, early 70s, hardly anything. But more and more people dug deep and found their courage. I give enormous credit to people like Whitley Strieber, who put it out there, didn't care, just put it out there because it was too important not to. At a time when he took a huge risk, just an enormous risk to his personal reputation. This was a taboo subject. It was not stuff that, it was really fringe back then when Whitley wrote about his experience with his family. And I've come to meet a lot of experiencers in the field, a lot that have become very well known, and others that have been satisfied to remain somewhat in the shadows, but still share their stories either below or above the radar. I don't judge anybody in any way. They tell what they need to when they do. And so it's not a matter of, if you experienced it, tell it. I would never, ever suggest to anybody that they risk their own reputation, in a way that makes them uncomfortable. I just got to a point, as I've shared with you in the past, Dave, I didn't give a damn anymore. I didn't care who thought what about me. Not my business, not my job. It's, not my day to babysit humanity. It's not. I'm just doing my own thing. If they want to follow along, come to the head of the class, that's fine. That's great. But otherwise, I'm not here for everyone, and it's not my job to educate, to inform all of humanity. It's up to them to do that. In the age of global communication, willful ignorance is a choice, and it's not my choice to make. I just move forward.
We got in about 90 seconds before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Andrea Perron is joining us with Merle on Ghosts of the Great White North. Andrea, you are more right now, it's seemingly into the whole UFO aspect of everything. You're known for the paranormal. Do you still love the paranormal after talking about your story with the Conjuring house for so long now?
Oh, yes. To me, it's all, everything is one thing. Everything is energy. And well, I wrote this down to share it. It's one of my favorite quotes. I wrote it down so I wouldn't screw it up. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that was written by Nikola Tesla, who I feel quite certain came from off-world to make a mark on humanity.
A lot of people do believe that he is from off planet, or at least a hybrid of some sort. Merle, are you alive over there?
I'm just taking this all in. Hey, I'm just taking this all in. I didn't think we'd go aliens, but we've gone there. We're up in the ship now.
Well, let's make the shift happen here as we're about to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Goes to the Great White North. It's the final edition of 2021. And next time we see Big Bad Merle, it'll be a brand new year. Merle is a paranormal investigator out of Vancouver, British Columbia. He co-hosts with me once a month where we talk all things paranormal and supernatural. And tonight's special guest, Andrea Perron from the famed Perron family. You'd recognize the name from the movie The Conjuring. We're going to get more into her story. Ghosts, aliens, wherever this blue train takes us, we are riding it full steam ahead. All right, we're clear.
All right.
Cool stuff. Good stuff.
I want to go
you
aliens
can ask
still.
me anything about the house or the live stream we did or whatever you want to ask me. That's fine.
Cool. I want to go aliens again, Dave.
You never want to go aliens.
I didn't think we're going aliens. She said she's an experiencer. I want to dig into it.
You hate aliens.
Dude, I'm trying. We've been trying the last couple months. I shared my experience last month on your celebration show. So I guess I'm an experiencer now. I'm one of you guys.
Good. Excellent. Don't be afraid.
No,
There's absolutely
Girl.
nothing to be afraid of.
no. It's I was in Oregon, and we were at the Wolf Creek Inn actually, and we looked up and we saw a triangle just hovering silently above us. And I think it was green lights. I don't remember the light color, so I won't say that part. But then it just vanished. It was black. It was weird.
Yeah, it cloaked. It didn't leave. It just
Okay.
made its presence known to you, and then it just cloaked.
Okay.
But it was right there, and you were getting downloaded, and they know exactly who you are.
Oh, boy.
Exactly who you
The
are.
Pearl.
Oh, they
Yes.
don't.
You have no idea how happy I am for you to say that. Yes.
And you'll notice he calls me Merle, not Mike, as you know
Yeah.
me.
I know.
So we'll just run with it.
Yes. If it makes
But,
him happy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It makes me happy. It makes me happy. I don't know
You'll
why.
always be Mike to me.
Sounds good. But Andrea, I got to tell you, the day we chatted a few months ago,
Yes.
I had a wicked dream that night.
Did you?
I was investigating with a couple investigators, and all of a sudden we were in the Conjuring house. It was real as heck. And then I woke up. I was trying to wake up, but I had an old hag sitting on me, and I couldn't wake up. And the more it was happening, the more I could see like the details of the house from like the stuff I've seen on TV and whatnot, and it was pretty intense, I must say.
You were astral projecting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you were. And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That happens to a lot of people that connect with my energy.
Okay.
A lot. You're not alone.
No, I wrote it down like in book form. My dream. It was pretty cool, but scary.
I remember you calling me about that. You were freaked out the next morning.
It was messed. But yeah, never thought we'd go aliens next half hour, Dave. But we're gonna do it.
We're going. We're going.
Marvelous.
Yep.
Marvelous.
I haven't had a good alien.
I know my light's not good because it's quiet and dark in the house, and it's very late here, and my family is asleep. And so if my volume needs to be kicked up a little bit, let me know. If you want me to, bring the lights up a little bit more, let me know. I'm just, I'm hanging. I've got my COVID hair. I can't find my makeup bag, so screw it. And I got my dinky dog. Oh, thank you.
You look beautiful as per usual.
It's my baby.
All right, we got about 90 seconds here.
How long's the show? Is it 2 hours or 1 or how long?
We got another 2 hours.
Okay. Well, see, we have plenty of time to talk about everything, Mike.
We
We're
do.
going into everything. Absolutely.
How do you feel about Sasquatch?
I think that he's interdimensional, and otherwise we would already have a carcass.
Oh, there's another curveball. 2 curveballs in 34 minutes.
Yeah. We agree on that one. We agree on that one. Believe it or not, if I recall, Andrea, when you were first on the air, I was the first one ever to ask you about if you had any UFO sightings at the Conjuring house. And I remember you kind of going, I've never been asked that before. I'm so glad you asked that.
Yep.
Number one.
It's where the world opened up for me. I came out of 3D and became a universal, stepped right into cosmic consciousness just like that. That was it. Nothing's been the same since.
All right, you guys hold on right there. I want to say a big thank you to Thomas Fessler, Double Tim, and Fabster for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. And thank you to all the veterans tuning us in. You always have a healthy home here on Spaced Out Radio's chat room. Here we go with the second half hour right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio, where we cracked 100 people today. We just set this up. We're already at 100. I know it's not much, but it's a hell of a good start. So thank you so much. Merle is here with Ghosts of the Great White North. He comes in and co-hosts each and every month. It's our last edition of this show before 2022. And what a way to end the year on this show with Andrea Perron. You will know her from the famous Conjuring house and the stories of Bathsheba and so on and so forth. We're going to get more into that as it goes on. But Andrea is also an ET experiencer, which makes life a heck of a lot more interesting. Andrea, yes. Merle, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, Andrea, I remember when you were first on this show a long time ago, you had never been asked about UFOs, and some weird Canadian guy starts asking you about UFOs, and I'll take credit for being the weird Canadian guy. And, you know, it's something that a lot of people don't seem to recognize, that there is a tie-in between the ghostly adventures that go on, paranormal, supernatural. I believe it's all connected. I know you're that way too. Did you ever think at any time, or let me rephrase that, at what point did you put it all together, the phenomena as one?
Well, again, another interesting question. I think that was a gradual awakening for me. I would say probably in the last dozen years or so, when I started to actually become comfortable in my own skin and realize why I was here, what I was supposed to do with my life, is when I began really acknowledging the correlation and the integration between spirit and extraterrestrials. And if you think about it and extrapolate it out, then spirit is extraterrestrial in that they are no longer earthbound, an earthbound presence in a living vessel. And so it seems to me that everything is one thing, that everything is energy that cannot be either manufactured or destroyed. It just simply is. And it all falls under the same very large umbrella of paranormal or supernatural or ethereal. But what is ethereal is likewise corporeal. If we can experience spirit, then what we're doing is we're delving into different dimensions, which I think is very important for people to acknowledge, that we live in a multidimensional universe, not a three-dimensional world. And once you cross through what I believe to be a self-imposed veil, that part of humanity that feels very secure, tucked inside our little egg and our little shell, but some of us outgrow it. Some of us peck our way out of it and realize that there's a whole lot more to the universe than our little world that we live in. And when you make that leap of faith, that leap of science, that leap of philosophy, when you make that quantum leap from grade school to grad school, comes with it an awareness that we are not alone in the universe, that we are part of what we must acknowledge exists, and that for all intents and purposes, humanity is an interesting conglomeration of hybrids.
For you, as you are an experiencer as well, have you been taken? Have you had contact with ETs, not only in a subconscious state, but in an awakened state as well?
Yes. Yeah, and it's great. And you don't get any frequent flyer miles, which that sucks. But other than that, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And there is nothing to fear. I absolutely do not refer to it as abduction, nor do I refer to them as aliens. They're no more alien to this planet than we are. The word abduction has a very dark and ominous kind of it's a word that does not accurately or adequately explain what happens. I don't think of myself as someone who has been taken, certainly not against my will. I've had significant periods of lost time. I have been off planet a number of times. Sometimes I'm conscious of it while it's happening. Sometimes I remember it when I return. It's always extraordinary. I get to see things that I feel so gifted, so that experiences that I treasure. I have never once, not for a moment, have I felt fear associated with the experience, and I welcome it over and over again. I don't want to sound negative, because this is not negative. It's just my truth. I feel I've never been comfortable in 3D. It's not that the earth isn't lovely and beautiful. It is. Maybe I asked to come back here, although I can't even imagine having done that. I mean, that just seems masochistic to me. I don't want to come back when I leave. I don't ever want to be plunged into 3D again. Not here. I think that the vast majority of humanity needs a real wake-up call, and maybe a slap in the head, a punch in the gut. I mean, I'm disgusted with humanity. I have been for pretty much all of my life, and yet I love humanity, truly love. But we've squandered so much time. We've wasted so much energy on the most superfluous, ridiculous things, rather than taking care of business here, saving each other, saving the planet. They're not coming in to save us, Dave. They're not coming to save us. They cannot save us from ourselves. Only we can do that. And we're not. And so I'm very frustrated. I live in a perpetual state of low-level anger. I told my friend Paula Harris one time, I said, it was not long ago. I said, Paula, I feel like I am screaming into hurricane force winds. And it's just taking my voice and just whipping it out into the ether, just dispelling it, where it serves no purpose. It has no reach. And she just looked at me and she just shook her head and she said, they hear you. They hear you. They know what you're doing. But I feel like it's too little, too late. And I did a thing the other day very interesting thing with a group of, I guess, what would be considered the upper echelon of researchers and physicists and, people working, some above the radar. And a lot of them were like, oh, this is the best time to be alive. Everything's happening now. It's so great. Wow, what an incredible time to be alive. And I'm like, oh, mother of God. Oh, God. I just, I so want to feel that way. I do. And if I had any faith that we were going to be able to turn things around and dredge ourselves out of this swampy muckiness that we seem to dwell in as, creatures from the under, I don't know. We're too stupid to live, damn it. We're too stupid to live. And we're the only animal on this planet that fouls its own nest. We are the only ones. We do more damage than good. Always. And we don't seem to get that the health and the happiness of this planet is irrelevant in terms of the way that we treat it. Like, she's going to wipe the pestilence off the planet at some point if we continue to do as much damage as we do on a day-to-day basis. In other words, the earth will survive us, but we're not going to survive on the earth until we learn to live in concert and communion with her, in symphony with her.
And I think that's what they're trying to figure out. I think that's what they're trying to figure out. And that's, portion of the reason why the UFO stuff has started to be taken much more seriously, Andrea, with the United States government leading the charge here. Because I believe, from what I've heard from talking to insiders, this isn't about little gray aliens running around, taking people. This isn't about spaceships. They don't, according to the people I've talked to, they don't know where they're coming from. Whether it's outer space, whether it's another dimension, whether it's inner Earth, whether it's time travel, there is a lot of confusion, and it might be all of them. And it really makes me wonder if the entire phenomena, which they are studying with consciousness and everything that goes along with it, is a little bit, the new path that we're going to be going with everything. Because obviously, you don't have to be a hippie to understand that this planet is getting pissed off. I know when, my cousin is one of the top doctors in Canada when it comes to diseases. And when I was talking to him early on about, the whole situation that's going on right now, he said to me, he goes, Dave, he goes, I'll tell you the truth. He goes, every now and again, Mother Nature gets pissed off and she hammers us for it. And that's exactly what we're going through right now. And I'm like, geez, Doc, that's not very scientific if you're quoting Mother Nature. But he was convinced on that. And so I could see exactly where you're going with that. Merle, you got a question? You haven't hit your word count for this half hour yet.
I haven't. No, I'm just kind of taking in what you guys are talking about. When do we come to a boiling point? When do things change? Like, I hear Dave talking about like aliens, extraterrestrials. When do they show themselves? This is what I want to know. When, because like you said that you've been taken before. I know you don't like that word. I just don't know what other word to use.
Well, there's a negative connotation to it.
Totally.
I prefer, and like abduction, there's a negative connotation to it, of course. The implication being that I've been taken against my will, or, that I've been abducted, taken from point A to point B without having any say-so in the matter.
Galactic vacation.
I think I came into this world with the implicit understanding that they could do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it, that the ball is always in their court, and that I am an emissary on the planet. Now, it took me almost 50 years of my life to figure that out.
Mhm.
You know, where I wandered around for a very long time pretending that I was a functional human being on this plane of action, you know, getting college degrees and running my own businesses and, you know, just trying to fit in a hole that I don't fit in. And so I had to uh, build a whole new template for, you know, some build a temple to themselves. I had to build a template and find a way to communicate with people in sometimes a very blunt, straightforward way. You know, this is my experience. Take it or leave it. What you think of me is none of my business. I don't care how you respond or react psychologically, emotionally, viscerally. I don't care. Just, you know, you can hear what I have to say. And if you don't like it, you can tune me out. And
Totally.
I think that it's that that level of almost dissociative. Like I had to literally stop caring about the impression that I left on other people in order to leave the right impression.
Hmm. What do you experience when you go up there? Like what happens? Like what?
Well, a couple of times I have been taken to what I think is my home planet. And it's in the Pleiades. That's all that I know. I mean, there's over 100 planets in the Pleiades, so I don't know which one, but it's blue on blue on blue on every shade of blue that you can imagine, and then 100 shades of blue you've never seen.
Hmm.
And it has 2 moons. And I was at the Star Work Symposium with my friend Chase Klutsky several years ago, and somebody asked her that question. We were in the food line. And so I'm just kind of hovering around, just kind of listening to what she had to say. And she starts talking about, yeah, I've been off planet and I've gone to this place. She said, I don't remember being on the planet. I remember coming into the atmosphere. And I'm like, oh my God, that happened to me. I didn't say that out loud. I'm just listening. And then she starts talking about this planet, and it's blue on blue on blue, and like all these different shades of blue. And it has, and I just looked at her and I said, 2 moons. She's like, yes, that's it. And her eyes and my eyes are almost identical. You know, the same shade of blue, and they have a tendency to fluctuate in their intensity and their color. And she just grabbed a hold of me and she's like, I knew it. I knew we were from the same place. And interestingly, Paula Harris, Chase Klutsky, and I all grew up in the little tiny state of Rhode Island, all at the same time. And none of us met each other until 45 years later.
Wow. Do you think that could be a correlation to that? Like, because you're all
Yes.
from the same, yeah?
Yeah.
Kind of
I
like
think it's something in the water in Rhode Island. I don't know what it is, but it's magical.
Okay. Wow. What was I just about to ask you about I want to know more about your experiences. Like your first one, what happened during your first experience to make you think you were seeing alien?
It didn't make me think. I knew what I was seeing, and I knew that what I was seeing was not of this earth, was not manufactured here. I didn't know until 4 decades after I saw it that I was not the only one who did.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the flotilla of vessels that came directly over the farmhouse actually showed up over on radar over Nova Scotia, came down the eastern seaboard, hopped across the pond, made a whole tour of Western Europe. And when the Royal Air Force in England scrambled their fighter jets to go after it, it disappeared over the North Pole and off radar in a split second. But I didn't know that. I thought that I was the one who saw it. I was the one who was blessed and graced to see it. But it actually by scientific calculations, it went over about directly over the heads of about 60 million people.
Oh, wow.
And there were 10,000 reports worldwide. But I was a little kid. I was just 13. I just turned 13. And it was October. It was beautiful outside. The sky was completely clear. And I don't know how I was outside by myself because I had 4 younger sisters. I was always in charge of at least 2 of them at any given time. So I don't understand how I was in the front yard alone, but I was. And the sky was completely blue. The sun was beginning to set behind me. And then all of a sudden the sky was filled with the puffy cotton ball clouds that had a bajillion colors in them. I'd never seen anything like it. And then all of a sudden a shadow came over the back of my head, and it came to a point. It was huge, absolutely huge, absolutely silent, completely silent. I didn't even hear bird song, nothing. I heard nothing, which I think either means that I was kind of in their bubble where I was either being actively visited or I was experiencing my realization of them, but not the earth around me. The flotilla, of course, I was very young and had not fully developed what I would consider to be an accurate depth perception. So I don't know if the main vessel, what I've always referred to as the mothership, was the size of Fenway Park or the size of Manhattan. But it was huge, absolutely massive, absolutely beautiful, absolutely silent. And it looked like a city had been flipped and turned upside down. And it had all these protrusions coming down from the center of it with some of the buildings looked square, some looked tubular, and there had lots and lots of lights, little lights on. But the thing that I found most fascinating of all was that it was being escorted by no less than a dozen vessels, and they were all equidistant from it. They were absolutely silent. They looked like burnished bronze, like a light burnished bronze, seamless. They were all geometric in form. So there would be like 2 circular ones, 2 square ones, 2 triangular ones, 2 octagons. They were all geometric figures. And they were absolutely perfectly aligned and equidistant from the main vessel. And it just slowly floated over the farm. And when it left, all the little puffy white clouds went with it. They just disappeared. And the next thing I knew, I was standing in the kitchen at the farmhouse, looking out the window in the kitchen, pulling the lace curtains back and looking up. And my mother said, "Honey, what are you doing? What are you looking for?" And I didn't answer her.
Oh, wow.
And on that note, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there as we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Andrea Perron, special guest on Ghosts of the Great White North with me and our main man, Merle. Yes, Merle needs a mustache. Make him look so much better. We'll be back right after this.
Nope.
Now I got to edit that note out.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to run over. I didn't mean to run over.
Oh, you didn't run over at all. You didn't run over at all. It was perfect timing.
Okay, I need to go put something lighter on because I'm hot. Because my mom's got the fireplace going, so I'm going to go lose the sweatshirt and put something lighter on, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, okay?
That's fine. We got 6 minutes.
Okay. All right, Peanut, you guard the house. I'm going to go put on something lighter. Okay, my peanut. Oh, she's coming with me. Oh, I thrive on coffee and chaos. There you go. That's
Yes,
me.
there was questions about that.
Be right back.
Okay. Hey, Merle.
Hey, Dave. What's a show without me either interrupting you or saying something when I'm not supposed to? So I did
know.
it. It's done. Now we just go. We keep on going.
I got to redo the first 15 minutes of the show after the show tonight
How come?
because when everything got rushed
Mm.
right at the beginning there, I forgot to hit play.
Whoops.
So I got to redo the first 15 minutes of the show after the show.
Okay.
That sucks.
Where do you want to take it next half hour? Dude, that's a big curveball for me, man. I didn't even think about aliens.
I know.
That was good.
It knows.
Strong.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Of course.
Calamist.
The Merles are strong tonight.
Some very good Merles tonight.
Love a good Merle.
Merle it up, people. Merle loves some Merles, so Merle it up. Give him all the Merles he can handle.
Merles for days.
Uh-huh. So you think the handlebars are strong or what?
Those are strong, Dave. I like a good handlebar on old Davy Scott.
Me too.
I will never grow a mustache. This is as much as you'll get, dude.
Look at this, man. Here they come. Simon, Melissa, Spooky, Vin Man, Lance goes Moral.
Okay. I'll take what I can get.
Sun Saver,
Moral.
Jim, Oracles, Nicole,
Mm-hmm.
Jules, Beth, Triple M,
I'm Triple M.
Lamb, or Lance, Merle, effin' Rawl.
Yep.
Even Kathy's getting in on the game with a cute yet subtle Merle.
Merle.
Catherine Fallman, Merle.
Merle.
Chad Smith, Merle.
That's a good one.
That one had some power to it.
I did.
That one may have a Hemi.
I think so.
Remember, you can go to our store on our website and pick up your Merle t-shirts. There is Merle swag in the store that you're going to want to get for yourself. Yep. It's the way it works, people.
That is the way it works.
Even Brazelhoff right here. Look at that. He's like warming up. Merle, 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 Merle.
That's like his guitar. That's a palm muted Merle.
You got to watch out, though. He plays a reverse headstock.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of them. But dude can rock.
Good.
Dude can seriously rock.
Rated M for Merle. That's my favorite. When he made the that little meme. Rated M for Merle. Best one. Aliens, eh? Wow. See, dude, I want to know when they're going to make their grand entrance, like The Rock entering Monday Night Raw.
What do you think of the name?
Which one? Where?
For you.
I like it. Rated M for Merle.
It's good stuff right there.
You're giving me micro doses of alien content every show we do now.
Look at Shane. Merle, there it is.
Yeah.
Merle, there it is. You're like Bruce, there it is right now.
I'm basically Bruce of Paranormal.
Yes. How about the Canucks with Bruce Boudreau right now?
5-0. They Made another
Bruce?
change. Yeah, they made another change today too. They hired an assistant GM.
Oh, who's that? Who'd they hire
Oh,
today?
what's his name? Derek Clancy.
Don't know.
He was with Trader Jim in Pittsburgh, won all the cups there.
Yeah.
And he's a pro scout. Was a pro scout for Calgary.
Who let the Merles out?
That's a strong one too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start a competition, Dave. I want a competition who can make the best Merle slogan. And it'll be handpicked by me, by Merle.
All right. Works perfect. Oh, look at Sovereign. Merle makes me want to hurl.
That's okay.
Nice.
Everyone has a hater. I get you.
Yeah, he hates everything. All right, guys, here we go with the second hour here right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Calamist. Calamist is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Oh, sometimes our audience makes me laugh. We continue on. Ghosts of the Great White North. We have Merle here from the Paranormal Road Trippers based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, as he goes all around the province and down south into Washington and Oregon, looking for all the ghosts that seem to be hanging on out. Tonight's special guest on the show from The Conjuring, Andrea Perron. Andrea, Merle, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, Andrea, I want to switch gears here because the first hour we pretty much talked a lot of UFO stuff, which Merle wasn't prepared for. He had to take oxygen, during the break there, because he's a ghost guy. He likes that.
I like
he likes it
now and again.
Yeah, every now and again. But the main thing is, for you, Andrea, everybody knows and has heard your story about the Conjuring house, what it was like growing up. And you've told that story literally thousands of times. And, I think bravo to you for going on, because there's always these new podcasts that are jumping up and they want Andrea Perron and they want to hear the story. Do you ever get sick and tired of telling it, or is it so ingrained in who you are that you just have no problem still speaking of it?
Yeah, the latter is true. And it's because I always remain cognizant of the fact that there might be somebody in the listening or the viewing audience that never heard it before. And that it opens their mind to all the possibilities. And so I think of it, it's new every time. And even though sometimes it might seem repetitive to me, like I've told the same story ad nauseum, it doesn't matter, because if there's even one person out there that's hearing it for the first time, and it touches them in a remarkable way, then it's worth every breath and every word.
Do you look at it and think that your old house where you grew up has become a little bit of a paranormal sideshow?
I worry about that. Yeah, it's you know, and I don't judge the owners. I mean, they bought it to run it as a business. And if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have had access to it anymore, because I had sadly a terrible falling out with the previous owner when the movie was released, and she did a complete 180. I mean, this is someone who had welcomed one paranormal investigative team after another into the house for years. And then when The Conjuring came out, she felt put upon and imposed upon, and she felt lied to because they did not end up using the farmhouse to film anything. So she lost a boatload of money from an agreement that she had with Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema that they reneged on, because when James Wan read my books, House of Darkness, House of Light, which is a trilogy, actually. It's one whole story, but it's broken up into 3 volumes. And she not only said, everybody go away, there are no ghosts here, but she also said the Perron family made the whole thing up, which is hands down, no competition, the most ridiculous statement ever uttered by a human being. I mean, our documentation and the recording, the chronicling of events that happened at that farmhouse goes back 60 years. It is probably the most well-documented haunting, if not in human history, certainly American history, of an original colonial farmhouse that was completed as it stands now, for 40 years before the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It has a story all its own, a history and a mystery all its own, but you know, some 30 plus years after we left it, I decided that the time had come that people were ready. I don't know, it's like a bell went off in my head, and I started writing what was going to be one book that turned into 3, because my family was so forthcoming about all of their recollections that I couldn't fit it in a single volume. It was just an eclectic variety of different energy experiences, and from full body apparitions to physical attacks to, you know, I mean, the whole gamut. I don't think that there's any kind of a way that spirit can manifest that it failed to do so at the farmhouse over the 10 years that we lived there. And people often ask me, well, you know, don't you resent The Conjuring because it's so misrepresented the story? You know, it was literally conjured up in the minds of 2 creative screenwriters who also read my books. James Wan read my books, and he's like, oh, hell no, we can't tell this story. You know, that nobody will stay to watch the end of the movie. What's the point of making a movie if it's going to run people out of the theater? Well, so what they did was they relied on method and formula, and what always sold before, you know, anything of the genre that came out of Hollywood. And that was the template that they followed. And they cherry picked little itsy bitsy parts of our story. And of course, based the entire film and the subsequent series of films on the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren, but they didn't even follow Lorraine's case files. She told me, you know, this is nothing like what she had written down. She also told me that she was well aware that terrible mistakes were made, that nothing that happened was malicious on her part or her husband's part, that they were never trying to take advantage of us, but that they also realized that they were in over their heads the moment they crossed the threshold of the farmhouse, which is why it was the first film in the series, because Ed had always described their experience at the farm, even though they were only there 6 times. He said it was the most intense, most compelling, most disturbing, and most significant of all the investigations that they ever conducted as paranormal researchers, which is why it became the first film. He wanted that story told, and asked her to make sure while she was still earthbound to get that story told. Now, I wouldn't be one of the best-selling authors in this or any genre had it not been for The Conjuring. I'm not naive enough to think that this story would have found its way into the paranormal patois without having a major blockbuster success of a film ushering it into the world, so that of the millions and countless millions of people who have seen the film, there are, there's a percentage that see the words based on a true story and they accept everything in the film as the truth. But the true story is written in the books. And those that are really interested in knowing the truth find the books with relative ease simply by Googling our family name. So I'm grateful to The Conjuring, but I also am aware that they were working with certain limitations. And it also made me keenly aware that even studio executives are fear-based carbon units who were absolutely terrified to tell the truth, because in this particular case, the truth is absolutely stranger than fiction.
I must say, I'm a fan of the movie, but reading your books, I don't know how many times I'm like, damn. Like, because obviously I know that the movie based loosely with your names, right? But reading the book and the stuff you talk about, it's like, Jesus, of the things that happen, which leads me to a question of, if you could do a do-over of the movie your way, would you do it?
I'm working on that right now. But I wanted to, the original idea, and I've got producers, really good people, really good. There are some really good producers out in California that are pure of heart and would never think of screwing you. And they're my friends, and I work with them. And I've got a really great screenwriter that I'm working with as well, who is a very close personal friend. He and his wife, and he knows the story as well as any member of my family remembers it. He has spent so much time doing research on what occurred and absorbing the books into his soul. Mm-hmm. And so what we decided to do about halfway into the first year of COVID was to reassess. And instead of trying to squash 10 years into 6 hours of feature films, we decided instead to really flesh out the story in a more authentic way. And so, since I think it's going to be years before the film industry makes a full comeback, and most everybody who was in a position to do so went out and bought a big ass TV at the beginning of COVID so that they could have a home theater, since everybody was sequestered there for so long. It changed the way we watch the world around us. And I thought the best thing to do was to really, like I said, flesh it out in a truly organic, authentic way, and tell the story the way we lived it, and try to recreate what we saw as close to as possible so that the audience could see it as well. And we are have been invited to present what we've come up with, which is a 3-year series, 30 episodes, to a major streaming service in the coming year. So we're almost done with the first season. And that's when we leap, when we've got the first season already on paper and can go forward from there. So yeah, it's an exciting thing. I told him, I said, we should rename the company Global Pandemic Productions, because we really did get so much accomplished, right from, our computers, me in my man cave and him in his office. And, we really did get an enormous amount of work done. And once it was safe for me to kind of go back out into the world, I've done 3 documentaries in the last year, which are coming out into the world shortly. And I've been working on a wonderful series that I've been shooting in California, although I hate the flight. Oh, God, do I hate the flight to LAX. I just can't stand that airport. But it's, it's all good. Everything's coming together as it should. What I can tell you is that the world will have an opportunity to binge watch and get deeply into this story, and they'll have the freedom to hit the pause button whenever they feel that they must. And there will be those moments when they feel that they simply must hit the pause button. So I don't think of our story as a horror story. I really don't. I think of it as a love story with a wicked supernatural twist to it. And the film, even though there are gross discrepancies in the film versus what actually happened, it bears no resemblance to what actually happened in many respects. But it does leave people with 3 overarching impressions, I think. And that is, when somebody sees The Conjuring and they step back from it, it does leave them with an accurate impression. And that is that good conquers evil, love conquers fear, and the Perron family endured an extreme haunting that they all survived. All of those things are true. It's in the minutia that it loses its way. But in so doing, it left a compelling imprint on the viewers that make people want to know more of the true story, and has given me the freedom to tell it as a docudrama in a way that, maybe nobody else would have looked at if it didn't have a $500 million success story behind it.
True. Now, just going back in time to the house, looking back on it now, would you still agree, or would you say that Ed and Lorraine bit off more than they could chew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. And they knew that. They found out, unfortunately, the hard way. And we just, thank you, Selena. Thank you, sweetheart. I really, in my heart of hearts, don't think that they ever tried to take advantage of my family, or, I will never consider them to be opportunists. I think that they were legitimately seeking truth. They were also very deeply rooted in Catholicism. And so the film tried to juxtapose the devout Roman Catholic Warrens against the godless heathen Perrons. And nothing could have been further from the truth. My mother converted to Catholicism to marry my father. She was a Southern Baptist. We were all baptized. We all made our first communion. I was already getting into confirmation classes when the priest at our parish in Harrisville approached my father and asked him to take our family and to go worship elsewhere. And that occurred the second year that we lived at the farm, and we were all in church together for Easter Sunday. And my little sister, April, she was only 6 years old at the time. And the priest was ending Mass with, and the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. And she said at the top of her lungs, in her big girl outdoor voice in the church, see, Mommy, God has ghosts just like us. And that was it. Every head turned. The priest followed us out, spoke with my father, and we've never, ever again been together in church as a family. My father was devastated. He had been born and raised in the parochial tradition, went to parochial school, served as an altar boy for his youth, joined the Navy fresh out of high school, and his intention was to serve his country and then to come back and go directly into the seminary and become a priest. That's how serious my father was about his religion. And while he was in the service, he met my mother, and, you know, that changed things in a big way, or I wouldn't be here right now. But, you know, it devastated him. He felt absolutely abandoned by the one thing that he had put all of his faith into. And it's taken him a long time to understand that the priest was fear-based too. You know, I mean, it seems, it just seems counterintuitive that the church that invented the whole ritual of exorcism and introduced, you know, the whole notion of demonology would have a member of it that turned his back on a family in need of spiritual grounding during a very difficult time in our lives. And he was afraid he would lose his flock. He was afraid that the tithing bucket would be empty if we continued to be members of his parish. And so it was that, you know, I think most human reaction is fear-based, you know, particularly knee-jerk reactions. It's fear-based. We are fear-based carbon units in general. And it's not until we embrace that fear and thank it for every time it did actually save us from our worst you know, we're all stupid. We all make terrible mistakes. It's part of being human. But, you know, if you can embrace your fear and thank it for pulling you out of bad situations, that gut instinct, don't get in that car with him, don't go down that alley. You know, I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. That's the purpose it's supposed to serve. But too many human beings relinquish their own personal power to fear. And they don't live a full life because of it, and have regrets at the end of their life of they should have done this or that, and they didn't because they were afraid.
All right. On that note, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. First half of the show is complete. The second half, right after this, on Ghost of the Great White North with Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and our special guest tonight from the Conjuring, Andrea Perron. We will return with more Ghost Talk right after this. All right, we're clear.
That flew by. That was quick.
Yes.
Where do you want to take it next half hour? I think we should just keep going. I had other questions on the go, but then I'm like, oh, damn, it's 10:30. Break time.
I'm
Well, you are
sucking down
Merle.
caffeine.
You are the Merle. That's how you do it, buddy. That's how you roll. That's how you roll.
I'd like someone to do a tally how many times the word Merle is brought up in 2.5 hours of this show.
I know, it's hysterical. It's so
It
great.
is.
Dave, you look really good. You know, you've been faring pretty well, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I've gained weight, but I'm still handsome. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
You
still
are.
handsome.
We all got some extra COVID calories in the last year and a half-ish.
True.
All of us
True.
have, yeah.
Yep.
It's mine starting to come off now. But yeah, I mean, all I did for the first 2 months was sleep, cry, watch the news, and eat ice cream, as my calcium source, and it went and lived right on my hips. But it's going away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm got to get in shape now because we're having our Spaced Out Radio Party in Vegas, April 22nd to 24th for our listeners. And I can say this, there is no way that they are seeing me looking like this. No way possible. No way.
Well, they're seeing me without makeup tonight because I can't find my damn makeup bag anywhere. I just got here last night up in Georgia, and my stuff is like all over the house. All right, hold on. I got to take my dog out for just a second. I'll be right back.
Right ahead. We got a couple minutes.
Okay.
Merle. Let's gonna see something here.
Wow.
That's what I needed. Right there.
Come on, baby.
So you having fun, Merle?
Having a great time. Are you having fun? You look like you're having fun.
I am. I love listening to Andrea talk.
I agree.
Hey, Wreaking Havoc, how you doing? You better get there, buddy. April 22nd to 24th. Everyone is invited. It is not a conference. It is a get-together of SOR listeners. Now, the one thing we are going to ask is if you are going to Vegas, we, for sure, for those dates, we want to make sure that you confirm with us. We're going to put up an email address here in the next couple of weeks. When you confirm, that way we can get you a special swag bag of SOR gear. And so the Friday night, we're all going to meet up. We're all going to have some drinks and chat around. And then on the Saturday, it'll be do what you want during the day. Then we'll all meet up for some dinner somewhere. And then we'll party afterwards. And then Sunday, some of you will probably have to head home. Not Davey. Davey's going home on the Monday. So whoever wants to hang out on the Sunday again, well, we'll figure that out as it happens. But the main thing is we all want to get together. We got a lot of love around this show. And we want to make sure that absolutely everybody gets an opportunity to hang out with us and be there. That's what it's all about. It's about getting together and hanging out. I'm going to bring some friends in. I'm going to convince Merle to come so you can all Merle it up with him. I'm going to convince some other people to come. I know the guys from UFO Garage are going to be there. There might even be a Chad Smith sighting if he wouldn't go all B.A. Baracus and actually just get on the damn plane and fly there. All right, but we want everybody there. Lynn Wallington's going to be there, along with Dave Effin Hurley. Yeah, they're going to be there. We're going to try and get as many people as possible there just to hang out and have some fun. That's all it is. Like I said, it's not a conference, but you may see some names there hanging on out that you recognize. We're just going to do it. That's it.
Who's coming, Dave? Who else? Who do you got?
Well, I've got some maybes.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at this one. Paranormal.
That's the winner. Everyone can stop.
That's strong right there. That is strong. All right, we got 20 seconds left before we need to return here. Big thank you to FAP with the hat trick, Jules, Thomas, and Tim for the amazing super chats. Fap, I don't know what got into you, but I love you, man. Thank you so much. John wreaking havoc, we love you too, man. And you better be there in Vegas. We passed the halfway point on Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with Ghosts of the Great White North. We got Merle. He's got a word count for this next half hour, so we're going to see if he can hit that. The number is 12. 12 is the number. Starting a new tradition here, Merle. He's from Vancouver, British Columbia with the Paranormal Road Trippers. And our special guest tonight, Andrea Perron. Now, if she was Canadian, it would be Perron, but it's Perron because she's American from The Conjuring. Yes, Andrea, I know last time we talked, I know there's Canadian ties in there from Quebec. I do know that.
Yes. Our name, the Perron family, emigrated from France to the Quebec area in the 1500s and then filtered down into New England. Subsequently, it became kind of a split family, but anybody with our last name who spells it Perron that's in North America is related to us. It's all from one original family.
Awesome. I want to ask you, because I know you have a lot of very much of a vested interest in being a well-known name in this community of the paranormal and supernatural. When you look at the way the Conjuring House has been made a tourist attraction for ghost hunters and people who are rushing there to get it, are you a fan of the paranormal tourism side of things, whether it's the Conjuring House, which was your former house, whether it's places like Waverly Hills or Gettysburg or all sorts of locations like that?
Well, I will never think of it as the Conjuring House. The house that they used to film in was in North Carolina. And to me, it will always be the Richardson Arnold estate, which it was originally built by the Richardson family. And then through marriage, it became the Arnold estate. But one extended family lived and died in that house over 8 generations before we ever showed up on the scene. So we were actually the intruders. It was their house first. And so I prefer to think of it more in terms of its historical perspective, and to give credit to the families that built and maintained that extraordinary piece of property for hundreds of years before our arrival. And I don't know why. I feel like it was maybe our destiny as a family to live in that house and then experience it for a decade, and then 30 years later for me to tell that story. I don't have a vested interest in being any kind of a perceived celebrity. I think of myself as a very humble messenger, that I was graced with the experiences that I have had, and am willing to share them, as my family has been willing to share them. Not everything is written in the books. Everything will be in the screenplays. everything. Things that were left deliberately out of the books have been included in the series, because my sisters have gotten more comfortable with sharing some unique aspects of things that occurred in the house that they weren't comfortable with including in the books. So I was very mindful of that. Yes, you know, and I'm glad that you revisited the question, because I felt like I didn't give it a fulsome answer originally when Mike / Merle answered or asked me the question. But yeah, it's difficult for me to think in terms of the house being so open. I understand why. It's a very expensive piece of property to maintain. You'd have to be independently wealthy to just buy it and live in it, and you know, not share it, and not create kind of a business out of it. I have no qualms about that. It's just that the current owners are very trusting individuals, and they have let some people into that house on their word of honor that they would be responsible. And these are individuals that I consider merely masquerading as paranormal investigators who are just there to exploit the property and to make a name for themselves. And that's very unfortunate. And in fact, over Halloween weekend, we did a live stream. My family did a live stream from the property. Three of us, the three that had said they would never go back, came in remotely from here, from this house in Georgia. And my father, my sister Nancy, and I all went to the farm, and we spent 3 days there over Halloween weekend. And it was an extraordinary experience. But at one point, I just kind of lost all inhibition and called out the paranormal community. There are members of which have gone into that house and behaved very badly, irresponsibly. And I kind of lost my temper a little bit, which is not like me to do that. It only happens about once a decade, but it really flared up when I was thinking about certain individuals that have come into that house and have made a mockery of our family's story, and particularly my mother's pain. And I have no tolerance for that whatsoever. They know who they are. I did not need to call them out by name, but I let it be known that if they're going to behave that way, then they're going to have to take me on at some point. So I kind of threw down the gauntlet. Like, if you're going to come in here and legitimately search for more compilation of evidence, of which there is already a plethora, that's fine. But do it responsibly, do it respectfully, and do it in a way that does not exploit the property or the spirits that dwell within, because otherwise you're going to have to at some point take it up with me. And that's never a good idea for any of them.
What do you mean by, this becoming offensive? Like, you don't need to mention names or anything along those lines, Andrea, but I'm just curious, what has been happening, or what was happening that was so offensive, not only to your family but the paranormal community?
Well, a couple of morons went in there under the guise of exploring the property and doing a paranormal investigation, and started put on pussycat ears and started crawling around on the floor, meowing, because they had heard there was a ghost dog in the house and they were trying to get it to attack them. Now, when I say human beings are too stupid to live, that's who I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And one in particular that went in and pretended to feigned possession, feigned being possessed. The worst acting job I have ever seen. There needs to be an award for worst actor of all time. And I found that extremely offensive. It was part of a program that, had I known that was going to happen, I would never have been involved in. I would have, I should have. It taught me a valuable lesson. It taught me a valuable lesson that I can't always say yes, and that I need to have fuller information about other characters that are going to be involved in any given production. I don't think I will do anything else at the farm. It doesn't mean that I'll never go back there again. It's always going to be a part of my life, and I don't have to live there, and I don't have to own it. I'm a part of it. It's a part of me. And that's true for every member of my family. My mother said, 40 years ago, we can leave this house, but the house will never leave us. And she was absolutely right about that.
Wow, I can't get past the cat ear thing. That is probably one of the most disrespectful things I've heard. Especially
I would stomp both of those. Oh my God.
I get you.
They need to stay far, far away from me, because you would be amazed how fast I could take two men off at the knees in 10 words or less and never raise my voice.
Totally. And for me, that's total disrespect for especially a location like that, especially the trauma that your family faced in that house. And to go ahead and do something like that, it's like can't use those words on Dave's show.
No, can't. I can thank them though.
Yeah, not true. With all of the traffic, because I actually looked on the website for the Conjuring House, because I was going to go do a road trip myself in 2022, but it's sold out until the end of time, essentially, to go even every day. Since you lived through the spirits there, and you were there this past October, how do you think the spirits feel with the constant people coming in, not even with the intent, Paranormal Investigate, where they bring like their ring light and they're on their Facebook Live, versus actually respectfully trying to talk to the spirits? How do you think the spirits take that?
I think that it depends on the energy of the people that come into the house. I think that they're really no different than we are. I think some of them don't like it at all. Some of them like the attention. The important thing about spirit. Okay, let's just look at this in maybe a more unique way. I object to people trying to cross spirits. I don't think that's our job. It's not our business to do that. And I need them to be there. I want them to be there. If they're ready to leave of their own accord, of their own free will, then that's one thing. But imagine a world where the superimposed veil actually existed, and that spirit existed all around us all the time, but none of us ever knew it. None of us ever experienced it. None of us ever felt it. Now, if you go back through the annals of history, ghosts and spirits have been written about since language was invented.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands and thousands of years of reference material to paranormal / supernatural activity, ethereal activity in a corporeal world. Now, imagine if all of that existed, but we never knew anything about it. And we lived our lives thinking that death was the end, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, that, you know, we might have our presupposed belief systems, but we didn't ever know for a fact that there was something beyond our mortal existence. I know I possess that knowledge, having experienced what I did. And that's the message that I bring into the world, is that it's safe to have faith that we do go on in some way, shape, or form. I still can't tell you exactly what that is. There are no experts in this field. They don't exist. If my family doesn't know the answers to these questions, there isn't anybody on the planet that does. So, you know, we're all little children finding our way in the dark when it comes to this. But I am so grateful to have had the experiences that I've had, even the dark experiences, because it taught me so much. And my mother, who is sleeping, you know, 30, 40 feet from here, would tell you the same thing if she were up, that as difficult as it was, she has no regrets about having lived at that farm, because it taught her everything she needed to know about life and death and the afterlife, and that there is an afterlife. And so she has no fear of death. And she's 82 years old, and she's frail, and she knows that her time is growing short. And she has absolutely no fear, no burden of fear. And that was a gift that was given to her by living in that farmhouse and knowing that what we experienced was real. Especially right now in this age where so many people are losing loved ones, and this horrible, horrific virus, this invisible force, is ravaging humanity. And we're all going through so much grief, you know, not just for ourselves, but for, you know, our loved ones who are losing loved ones. It's touching all of us. You know, we're all susceptible to it equally. It leveled the playing field for all of humanity, this virus, which is why I say that it is the ushering in of the paradigm shift, meaning that nothing will be the same on the other side of it ever again. It won't be. We've had to kind of rethink, relearn so many things. We've had to discover ourselves and our own frailties and our solitude. You know, it's been a difficult, long haul for a lot of people. I consider this, that to be touched by spirit is a blessing, not a curse. It is that rare and precious glimpse that we have into the realm from which we come and will all inevitably return. And so that's why I tell people, be not afraid. There is nothing to fear here. We do go on in some way, shape, or form. Live your life with authenticity and integrity. Understand that your superpower is love and kindness counts. And to live your life in such a way that when you pass, there is nothing that will tether you to this earth in such a way. I can't explain why the spirits in the house are still there, but I'm grateful that they are. I'm grateful that they express themselves the way that they do. There are some people that go in and spend a night in that house and get absolutely nothing at all. And that's to be expected. There were many nights that we lived there and nothing happened. So we'll continue that after our break. We'll continue with that.
No. We got a few minutes here. I wanted to actually jump in and ask you a question right there. So I do apologize for cutting you off there. But the spirits that are in the house now, are they the same spirits that were there when your family lived in that home for a decade?
Yes.
Have new spirits come in?
Yes, they do. And the spirits that own the house don't particularly like that. But there are a lot of people that come through that house and bring their own attachments with them.
Mm.
And they
So when
might
you
not
went-
even know that they have attachments, but that they do.
So when you went back there for Halloween, or every time you've been back there, do the spirits recognize you?
Yes.
What's
Absolutely.
that like?
It's great. It's fantastic. It's like old home week, you know? It's like, oh, it's my family. I always felt a familial attachment to the spirits in the house. I was never attacked in that house. I never had a negative altercation with a spirit in that house. I had fear, but it was fear about what was happening to my mother, to my sister Cindy, particularly. Saw a couple of things happen to my dad that freaked me out pretty bad. But not me. And I think it was because they knew that I could see them. They knew they treated me the way I treated them. We kind of had a golden rule thing going on.
Mhm.
And I was fascinated and curious and appreciated them, and would try to talk them down when they were misbehaving. Like if we were going to have company, and I would ask them to, please behave and, don't embarrass us, and please don't make it sound like a body just dropped upstairs. Don't do that right now, okay? Could you just let these people come and go without there being trauma involved? And it took years and years for me to understand that I had a kinship with them. And there is my mom did the research, and our family has absolutely no ancestral ties to the families that lived in that house, to the individuals that lived there for hundreds of years. And yet I saw a spirit in that house that looked like me now. And I'm 63 now. And I saw her when I was 17.
Wow.
Everybody in the family saw her except me. Saw her full body, because she was standing next to me on the hearthstone in the parlor, and my whole family was sitting at the dining room table in the adjacent room. I was the only one that saw her face, and she was the mirror image reflection of me as an older woman. The only difference is that she was wearing clothing from, I would say, about the 1850s, 1860s, with the big leg of mutton sleeves and the pearl buttons down the sleeve and a lace collar. And she had my thick gray hair, except that it was really long, like it was when I was a kid. I could sit on my hair, and it was all in a bun on the top of her. And she looked at me and she smiled at me with the most loving smile. And she looked at mirror imagery of reflection of how I look now.
Beautiful.
And I never told my mother about that until we moved out of the house a few years later. And she got all choked up and she said, "Now do you believe in reincarnation?" And I said, I don't know. I don't know, honestly. But I will tell you, she said, "I'll tell you, I always knew we bought this house for you."
Beautiful. Andrea Perron on Ghosts of the Great White North. We have her for another 30 minutes here with Merle and me on Spaced Out Radio. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Strong.
Loving it. Strong. Andrea Perron, strong.
Andrea Perron, strong. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
See, what I want to know, when you went there with your family in
I'll let you
October.
guys chat. I gotta hit the bathroom.
Was it business as usual with the spirits? Like when you got like, could you see them and they're like kind of like, hey guys, long time no see type thing? Or was it, since there were a lot of live stream wires, cameras, people, were they more quiet?
They were more reserved. Yes, they
Okay.
were more reserved. We did have several experiences. We had a lot of energetic experiences that weekend. We caught some things on some of the different equipment that they were using, but they didn't like the crowd. They didn't like all the disparate energies that were brought in by so many different individuals. And for the most part, they kind of hung back, which was fine. I expected that, but they certainly did make their presence known. And I did an experiment that they asked me to do that weekend, called the Estes method.
Yeah, I know that one
Where,
quite well.
yeah, where you put on a pair of earphones and close your eyes, or they put masks on. I was not comfortable with that. So, eye masks. So I just closed my eyes, and a lot of information came through for me. I could have done it for hours and hours and hours because it was so clear what I was hearing, and what was being said. Was fascinating to me. My sister came through. My sister April, who passed away in 2017.
Oh wow.
Came clearly through. No question that it was her voice. And she didn't say hi to me. She said hi to Jen, the owner of the house.
Right. Okay. Are any of the darker spirits still there? Or I don't want to say negative, but like, I don't know what word would be better, but like the darker ones, are they still lurking around?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that they are. I don't know. My mother was like the trigger,
right,
for that. My mother and my sister Cindy. Cindy went back a couple of years ago in 2019 to shoot an episode of Kindred Spirits with us there, and she was physically attacked in the house.
Wow.
And that was when she said she would never ever go back again. And I felt really guilty about that because I was the one that convinced her to come on that shoot. And it was unfortunate because we shared a great deal with the team, the production team, and Amy and Adam and Chip, and about 98% of it hit the editing room floor.
No.
And that was a shame because it was paranormal gold, and they threw it away.
Damn.
And I had no control over that, none. And so that was the reason why I convinced my family to do the live stream, because that way at least they would be able to speak their truth and tell it their own way and not have anybody edit it out and take it away. It would be there for anybody that was watching to see it.
Why do you think Cindy's a target when she goes there?
Because she died when she was 2 months old.
Oh, okay.
Merle, we're going to take some audience. We haven't taken any audience questions yet, and there's been a bunch. So this next half hour, if you don't mind, you good with that?
That's great.
Andrea, are you good with that?
I am.
People are really enjoying the show with you on with us, so it's
good.
It's good. Yeah.
I promise you, it won't be another 5 years before we bring you back on.
Oh, good. I've missed you too. You're one of my favorite shows I ever did, Dave. That I ever did.
Well, hopefully this is proving to be the same tonight. I hope.
It is.
Putting you on the spot there in front of everybody.
We should have her
It
yearly,
is.
Dave. We should have a chat with her once a year.
We should. This is exciting. We got about 1 minute here, guys. 1 minute. All right. Let me just quickly go like this.
It's okay. You be a good girl. Mama loves that baby.
Do some of the spirits from the house sometimes follow people home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know. And you'll hear me say that with some frequency the more we talk.
Right. Hold on, guys. We got 15 seconds. I want to say a big thank you to Melissa, Fabster with the hat trick, Jules, Thomas, and Tim for the amazing super chats tonight. It's a fantastic night of radio here. Let's do hour number 3 right now.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Just join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Calamist. Calamist is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we got Merle here, goes to the Great White North, as Merle joins me once a month to talk all things paranormal, supernatural, and Andrea Perron from The Conjuring is here as well, telling her family story, and it's been a beautiful night indeed. We're going to start off with some audience questions here for you, Andrea, if you don't mind. And this one comes from Jim. What do you think of the book Moral Relativity? Have you read it?
Actually, I just got it from Jen and Corey at the farmhouse. And I brought it up here with me to Georgia, and it is my Christmas reading. But considering that that's the book that keeps getting kicked out of the bookshelves, the library at the house that used to be my parents' bedroom, I figured that there's some message in there that I need to look at, and it's a philosophy book. And since I have a degree in that, I'm very used to being able to read philosophy and get into the minutia of it. So I'll let you know on the other side, but I did bring it with me.
All right. A follow-up question from Jim. Do you think the wood or the land or was haunted or cursed?
I think that the whole entire area is extremely active for a variety of reasons. It's not just the farmhouse. The barn is as active as the house. The land is as active as the structures. When you think of, I think that conflict has a lot to do with paranormal activity. And when you consider that house was there at the founding of the colonies, that there was, the King Philip's War went on, the Dorr Rebellion happened in that area. Of course, there was the Revolutionary War, the Civil War. The house was used as part of the Underground Railroad. It has an extensive history. And I think that it was probably a lot of living and dying that went on. And that whole valley belonged to the Nipmuc Indians prior to the colonists arriving. So yeah, it's ancient land. You know, it's no more ancient than any other land on the planet, but it had an awful lot of yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, squirrel! You know, I get distracted easily. But yeah, I think that you know, there's this thing called the Black Book of Burrowville, and it's loaded with 300 years of deaths, bizarre deaths that occurred in that area, the northwest corner of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. It's an extremely active area. Let me answer.
This is no justice, no peace. Do you think you can summon a paranormal experience if you want one?
I'm always having a paranormal experience. I spend very little time in 3D. I find it incredibly dark and oppressive. I only have one toe tethered to this earth. My head's in the clouds. I am a living, breathing paranormal experience. When people hug me, I just tell them, congratulations, you just hugged an extraterrestrial. You know, I'm a hybrid. I know that I am.
All right, let's get to another question here. This one is from Josh, who is asking, what are your thoughts on shadow people?
I don't know if they are spirit, if they are interdimensional creatures, or if they are extraterrestrial in nature in the purest sense of that word, as in an alternate race from another planet. But I do know that they are real. I do know that they exist. I don't know if it's spirit that's trying to manifest and doesn't have quite enough energy to do it. So they appear as translucent or opaque, but with no features. But I've also seen shadow creatures. And some would say demonic. I don't know. I've never ever seen a demon per se. The problem with the lexicon and the vernacular is that we're working with a new language. We are trying to describe things that we see and put a post-it note on it. You know, this is such and such. This is such and such. This is good. This is evil. You know, we don't know. I mean, what if everything is just one thing? What if everything is consciousness and energy and existence all wrapped up into one thing? And we're the ones that carry around the Post-it notes and the Sharpie trying to compartmentalize existence. I just don't think that we can. I know that's probably a convoluted answer to a relatively straightforward question, but I don't know what shadow people are, but I know that they exist.
All right, follow-up question from Trippy here. Can shadow figures be benevolent?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's an easy answer. Merle, let's turn it over to you.
I do. I think they can be benevolent. I will piggyback Andrea's answer with as much detail. Yes.
Okay, cool. Andrea, for you, it's been a long time now since you lived in that house, and you're known for that, but there's so much more to your story and everything. What is something that people don't know about Andrea Perron from not only the experience there, but what has been carried over the years?
Well, I think that people get about me that I'm complicated. That there's a lot of different aspects and experiences that I've had that I'm certainly willing to share. that a lot of people just describe me as pure love and light, and that is true. But you know, I have a dark side. I do. I have the full spectrum of human emotion at my disposal, and have no fear about exercising it when it's necessary, as in what I did during the live stream when I kind of went off on the community, like behave or I will hunt you down like the dog you are, you know, that, you know, just stuff like that. You know, I get angry when I see, because of fictionalized film, that someone went and destroyed the final resting place, the gravestone of Bathsheba Sherman has been destroyed and removed. That's cruel and incredibly disrespectful. I had a reaction to that, that being, I made a video at the time when it first happened, and I basically said, I might not know who you are, but she does, and woe be unto you for doing what you did. You know, that woman copped a lot of grief and was unfairly vilified in The Conjuring, which is extremely unfortunate, based on a mischaracterization that Mrs. Warren made when she stepped into the farmhouse the first time and said, I sense a malignant presence in this house. Her name is Bathsheba. And she might have sensed that, but then she blamed everything on her. And that was not the case. The spirit that was haunting and taunting my mother was long dead before Bathsheba Sherman was even born. And I'll probably spend the rest of my life trying to clarify that, and will always be her great defender, because I just don't think that you should accuse someone of murder unless you have proof that they did it. You know, there's that. But what do people not know about me? I'm very, I love my solitude. My peanut buttercup is the center of my universe. She just fell into my lap 10 days before I discovered that COVID existed. And so I saved her, and then she saved me right back. I do crossword puzzles to keep my senses sharp, and I do jigsaw puzzles as therapy, because I can get lost for many hours and sometimes days putting together a jigsaw puzzle that gives me some quiet space and quiet time. I meditate better smoking a cigarette than most people can in a temple. And I have a filthy mouth.
Bad.
Which I will spare you on your beautiful spaced out air. But yeah, no.
I appreciate
there
that.
ain't a sailor on earth that's got anything on me. I am an ordained minister with an absolutely filthy mouth.
I appreciate that.
Jim is wondering, could the crooked neck lady be the woman who might have hung herself in the backyard?
Nobody hung themselves in the backyard. That was an invention of The Conjuring. It is not true. There is no tree in the backyard for them to hang themselves from. That is a machination of two screenwriters who conjured up a whole third story by cherry picking the case files of the Warrens and by reading my books and freaking out. There was, now none of the spirits ever self-identified except for one, which was the little boy that my sister April played with. And his name, he identified himself as Oliver Richardson. The Richardson family built that house starting in the 1600s. So through the history, we were able to establish that connection. My father thinks the woman that haunted and taunted my mother was Mrs. John Arnold, who was found hanging in the barn in 1797 at the age of 93. And apparently, according to the town historian at the time, told my mother that she was found and taken down by a farmhand and brought into the house because if to commit suicide was considered, the ultimate sin, and that she could not have been buried in hallowed ground had it been known that she had committed suicide. But chances are that it's her, but we don't know for sure. We don't know all the history. We only know a smattering of the history of the house. Facebook wasn't invented for 300 years after the house was built. And so nobody had the opportunity to post what they had for breakfast, or who they had to shoot in the woods, or where the 7 dead soldiers are buried. We don't know these things. And we may never know these things. One thing that I'm curious about, though, is that my sister April passed away very suddenly and tragically in 2017. And I know that she's been back to the farm with us. I picked her up doing the Estes method during some research over Halloween weekend. She came through very clearly, didn't bother to say anything to me directly, but instead wanted to greet Jen and Corey Heinzen that own the house now. I know I've always been curious to know, and when I have the opportunity to ask her, I will, if she was able to reunite and be of any assistance to the scared little boy that she befriended in the farmhouse. I think that it would bring some comfort to my whole family to know that she was there for him, because he obviously was struggling and he felt safe with her. But we don't know. We just know that Mrs. Arnold did hang herself in the barn, and that she was extricated and brought into the house before she was buried in the old Arnold cemetery that was originally on that property when it was thousands of acres. And that's all we know for a fact, that it wasn't Bathsheba Sherman that did what she was accused of in that house.
Makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
All right, we continue on here. Gloria would like to know, do you believe, Andrea, that the film can transfer or cause paranormal activity for people watching?
No. I think that human imagination is very powerful, and some people might feel like they've somehow been touched by spirit. People who read my books often write to me and tell me, I'll never be the same. I'll never think about anything the same way again. I feel like I lived in that house with you. I grew up in that house with you. I know every member of your family intimately well from reading your books. It has completely opened my third eye. I don't experience the world the same way anymore. And I'm glad for that. I'm really glad for that. Is the medium of film very powerful? Yes, it absolutely is. But I would say to anybody that watches the film and then feels like they have paranormal experiences afterwards, chances are really good that they already had spirit around them that now feels a little bit more comfortable being able to try to make that connection. And that really what it did was it opened their minds to the possibilities so that they can experience the spirit that is around them, but not necessarily anything that was conjured on a screen and out in Hollywood.
All right. Brazelhoff is asking, do spirit attachments last a lifetime if not dealt with, or can the spirit leave at its will?
Mostly they just latch on just to suck your energy for a while and then they leave of their own accord. Some people have, we've all heard of people, and if you're in this field long enough, you've heard a story about someone that said, I moved into this old haunted house. I didn't know it was haunted. And when I figured out it was, I moved out and I moved into a new house and the same stuff was going on. And how can that be if the house is brand new? And my answer is the house isn't haunted. You are.
Mm-hmm.
You can either choose to deal with that, or you can ask them to go away, or you can tell them to go away, or you can live with their presence and learn from it.
We got time. We about 3 minutes here before we got to call it the night. But Jenny is wondering if Amy Allen visited the house, and if so, do you agree with her?
I love Amy Allen. She's a friend of mine. I do not know if she's been to the house. It seems like all of humanity has been to the house since the new owners assumed ownership of it. But I have not heard from Amy. Actually, she's more in touch with my sister Cindy. They're thick as thieves, those two. But she's not said anything to Cindy, as far as I know, about going to the farmhouse. And if she was going to the farmhouse, she'd probably call me and say, you want to come along? So I don't think she's been. I would love for Amy to go to the house to see what she picks up on there energetically and interdimensionally. She has a great depth, a deep old soul and a great depth of understanding. And she's just weird enough to go into the old Richardson Arnold estate and come out with stories of her own. I would love to escort her and give her a tour of the house. So I'll call her, Jenny. I'll call her, and I'm going to call her for the holidays anyway. So I'll check and see if she slipped in and out unbeknownst to me, or if she wants to go, and I'll keep you posted on that.
Comment from Pinzer here. Andrea, I'm blown away by the things you've mentioned that my partner and I have exactly questioned or discussed in watching the movies. It's like we just knew some of it. Thank you for your clarity tonight.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. It's, before we have to go, I have to tell both of you fine gentlemen how much affection and respect I have for both of you. For the work that you do, for the imprint that you leave on this field of exploration and research. You're both very mature, very thoughtful, deep, emotionally deep men who aren't afraid of your own essence, as it were. And it is always my pleasure to join you. And I really look forward to coming back and continuing where we left off tonight, because we truly only scratched the surface.
Sure did.
Anytime you want to come on, if you haven't heard from me, you just call up and you say, Dave, Andrea needs to do another show. And I'll be like, okay, we'll get you a date. Not a problem. Anytime, my friend.
Thank you.
You are one of the beautiful people of the paranormal. And, over the years, I've said my piece on what I think about people in the paranormal, but you are one of the true gems. That is for sure. True gems, Andrea.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
All right. Merle, thank you for a great 2022 or 2021. Look forward to continuing Ghosts of the Great White North in 2022 with you, buddy.
Likewise.
He's a man of many words. We call him Merle around here.
Excited too, Dave. It'll be a great 2022, and our guest, we have one hell of a guest for January.
Okay, that's enough words from you. You broke your quota right there. Coming up next, we have the Unbiased UFO Report. John Hudson is next on Spaced Out Radio. Just a wonderful show, guys. Wonderful show.
That was a great show.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. Well, you made it that way. I mean, you know, I've got two individuals who I can engage with, you know, where I don't feel like I have to run everything because they know nothing. You know, it's great to be with people who are well informed and have erudite questions, and you know that I can actually engage with. I mean, I was fighting staying awake from midnight to start the show, and I'm wide awake now. I'm all fired up. I'm like, you know, my adrenaline's pumping, and you know, it was great. It was everything that I expected and hoped for, and then more so. So
Oh,
I
well,
love you
you're
both.
way
You're
too
wonderful men.
Awesome. Thank
Way
you.
too kind. All right, my friends, I'm going to have to let you go. I got to get ready. Some of us still have to work while you guys get to go to bed. But Merle, once again, I'm just going to say I know we're best friends off the air, my friend, but this year has been probably the strongest year of Ghosts of the Great White North for you. And I'm going to add 3 words per half hour to your quota in 2022.
That's a tall order, man. That's a tall order.
I know. I will give you a phone call tomorrow, my bud.
Sounds good. Thanks again,
right,
Andrea.
Mwah, love you.
Love you too. Have a great night. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right.
Merle and Andrea, Ghosts of the Great White North. We say goodnight to them. What wonderful people. I love them. Love them both so much. Yep. Lovely Lavira, how are you? We're just waiting for the fedora wearing John Hudson to get in here. Gotta love the fedora wearing John Hudson. All right, there we go. There he is, everyone. There he is.
Hi, buddy. Buddy.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man.
Your fedora looks fantastic.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
It's flattered.
It should be. It totally should be. Very solid night of radio tonight.
Wow, man. I mean, you could divide it up into two, well, several, but two totally different categories. And that is, one is just her ability to speak, and then the content of what she gave. But like her entire communication style is just
beautiful.
Oh, it's what everyone should be striving for. It's so natural. It's so conversational. It's so it comes off, at least, as incredibly honest. And I assume it is, but I don't think you could fake that. But wow, that was and such fascinating perspectives on everything. I mean, there were so many times where I wanted to give her a high five, or like
oh yeah.
I mean, just like, man.
Hey, I want to give a quick shout out here to Thin Lizzy, who has really, really done a good job taking over our TikTok. Wow, got us up to 100 people tonight. Really appreciate that. JJ Carroll, if you're listening, thank you for being number 100. That's kind of cool. But Thin Lizzy's just taking our TikTok, and she's just hammering it.
Sweet.
She's hammering. Yeah, I love it. She doesn't even tell me when she posts. She's just like sneaking them in there, and it's like, boom, there's another one. Holy cow, where'd that come from? Thin Lizzy, good job. Going to give her a few
Nice.
fist pumps for that.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, and she already posted the thanks. That's awesome. Yep. All right, we've got 10 seconds. Thank you to Catfish, Mr. Fapster, Melissa, Jules, Thomas, and Tim for the super chats. Here we go, everyone. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We bring in the man, the myth, and the legend, all rolled into one, as it's the unbiased UFO report with the fedora-wearing John Hudson. And John Hudson, there is one big story and one only that literally we could talk the next 4 to 5 hours about and still not even scratch the surface. And that is the NDAA that includes a new UFO reporting area within the government, passed by a vote of 89 to 11 today in the Senate. And now it's just a signature away from law, and that is the signature of President Joe Biden.
I know. And, I haven't had a chance to read through all of it yet because I'm worried. I hate to say this. I'm paranoid. That something else changed, but it looks like we did it. And it looks like we got in. I mean, yeah, okay, there was some stuff removed that some of us would have rather not. I mean, some of the oversight and the science advisors and so forth, that's certainly unfortunate. And I haven't had a chance to figure out yet whether it's going to be established in the office of the Secretary of Defense, or whether it's going to be an Undersecretary of Defense. But one of the cool messages that you're seeing in a lot of the people who are writing about this is not just that the UAP language passed, but the fact that the language passed was a rebuttal to what the DoD did the other day. That this was true. Congress saying, no, you're not going to tell us how we are going to run this program. We are going to tell you how you're going to run the program for us. And that in itself is a big deal.
Well, before we go any further, I was actually texting Lou Elizondo today.
Okay. How is he doing?
And, I'm going to read it to you. I said, hi, Lou, Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio. Congrats today on your hard work and pressure on the UAP subject paying off big time. What you have helped accomplish is second to none. You deserve a big glass of wine and a nice campfire to kick back and relax. The UFO world is better off because of your efforts. He responded, thank you for the kind words. It hasn't been easy, but together I think we are all making a difference. Thank you at Spaced Out Radio for what all of your team does as well. So he's paying attention. He is. And I think that was some very kind words. We shared some more conversation that I'm going to keep private for now. But I mean, look, whether you love Lou Elizondo or whether you hate Lou Elizondo or you don't believe him, the fact is the man, along with Chris Mellon, have worked their tails off to finally bring UFOs to the forefront, that they are here. There's no turning back now in humankind's history.
Correct. And let me just say that I had no notions that this would be a likely goalpost for us to have on this journey, right? Like if I look back 5 years from now, 5 years, prior to now, I wasn't thinking, oh, and if we pull up our cards right and we do all the right things, maybe we'll get some congressional documents written like that. No, that's not what I was thinking, right? But at the same time, now that you see it, now that you see what it means, and you see how it's written, and you see the language and what it actually establishes, it's like, wow, this is huge. This is really, really huge. This is a really big deal, and I really hope, I sincerely hope that Lou and that Lou Elizondo, that Christopher Mellon, that I mean, there's a lot of people involved, but certainly the primary people that have been dedicating majority of their waking hours toward this for a couple of years now, really do sit down and just have a glass of something they love and listen to something good, because they really deserve a pat in the back today. This is this is now law, and this is how you get things done in the United States. The budgets are what drive everything, and so the fact that this place is now going to have a budget, this is finally going to get real.
Well, it's going to get real, but I mean, the big question that everybody's going to have on their heads here, and I'm still a little hesitant on this, is the fact of how much of that information is going to be released to the public. Now, there's still going to be a lot of classified information, whether or not the military reports it or not. Does the public have an opportunity to be screwed again on this? We're going to have to wait and find out. But I mean, look, the one thing that I will say about this, and I've been very critical over the years, whether it was with the Stars Academy, well, pretty much since then. But I will say this: people need to hold the government accountable. They have finally opened a door after 70 plus years of secrecy, if not longer, that we don't know about. And we need to see what's behind each and every one of those doors. And the public at large really needs to combine that pressure still and say, look, it's great that you signed this into law. It's great that you are officially looking into UFOs, UAP, whatever acronym you want to call them. But we need to know. We are the people putting you in power. We need to know.
But here's the irony, David, is that there's nothing about the UAP or UFO phenomenon that is in itself, by its very nature, classified. It's all about how the data is gathered, and this is why all that's happening is, it's a really good thing, and it might get some interesting things to happen. It might trigger some very interesting things over time, but ultimately, it's not really going to make a huge difference, at least right away, to your life or my life, because essentially they're not going to. Most of the data that they're going to be chewing on is data that they can't share, and it's not because of what it's of. It's because of what was used to collect it. You take, for example, the DOE has networks of sensors across the globe that operate from space and from land, that do things like seismic sensors, do things like look for blooms of energy via IR and so forth, right? Very, very sensitive networks. They're designed to detect nuclear detonations. If a rogue nation is trying to blow up a nuke underground to test it, that they're supposed to catch it, right? But needless to say, this gear that they have catches a lot of other stuff. And there's some significant rumors that what this gear has been catching for a while now is objects appearing in orbit and then going down to the surface and then going back up to orbit and leaving. And there's supposed to be a significant amount of data of this happening, but it's all done on a system that isn't even supposed to exist. And we can't talk about what it does or how it works, because the first thing people are going to do is a bunch of countries are going to go, oh, cool, now we know how to circumvent their network. So it's frustrating beyond.
Well, the hard work, but here we go, John. The hard work officially begins now. Okay. Yes, it was hard to get this bill passed, but now they got to find the information. They
Yeah.
have to figure out what can be released to the public, what can't under national security. And obviously, just obviously, they're not going to be reporting a lot of the military encounters to the detriment of the public. They will probably end up seeing more airliner encounters. Okay, like whether it's United or whether it's American Airlines, Allegiant Air, whoever it may be, we may see more of those. And it's going to be interesting to see if eventually down the road, not right off the bat, maybe 10, 20 years down the road, if they tap into something like MUFON and start looking into personal reports as well.
Well, I mean, eventually, right? I mean, that's the funny thing that we all have to remember is that groups go through arcs just like people do, right? And so there are whole groups of people that are right now beginning that arc that some of us started 6 months ago, some of us started 5 years ago, some of us started longer ago, where you start out looking at the propulsion systems. And 5 years from now, you're looking at NDEs and all that crazy stuff, and you're watching Grant Cameron videos, and they're going to have to go through that same transition. I mean, that everyone has to go through it. Everyone has to, and it means it's not the same. It's different for everyone. But I mean, my point is that they're all going to have to go through that transition. So what that means is that they are going to get to a point where suddenly they're going to wake up and go, "Oh, there are contactees. There are actually people that think they've talked to them, and we can interview them. Oh my God!" And they're going to lose it, and they're going to start interviewing other people, and it's going to be this huge, buffet. But it's going to take a long time.
Irony or coincidence that this vote happens the day before the 4th anniversary of the New York Times article?
Serendipity. Just, beautiful serendipity. There was so many, these bills have to be, negotiated by certain dates and signed by certain dates to be able to continue funding for programs and so forth. And so, my guess is that you could have predicted what date they were going to vote on this 6 months ago. If you actually understood how Congress was functioning, you could probably predicted it back then. We just didn't know what it was. So my guess is it's just beautiful serendipity, just the universe kind of doing a wink and a grin.
It is kind of ironic.
It's kind of beautiful. And the thing to remember too is that there's a lot of other stuff in this bill, right? This is a big bill, right? That has a bunch of stuff about the Space Force allocations in it, and honestly, it has and what Senator Gillibrand is really probably more passionate about than anything else is that it has an incredible overhaul of the of how sexual cases are handled in the military, completely changing the entire structure of how any claims of any kind of sexual misconduct are handled. And that's what she's really in the news talking about right now. So there's a lot of other really good things in this bill. It's a very, very important bill.
It's very important indeed in regards to it, but it all comes down to our listeners. Okay, not just our listeners, but the public in general, because the majority of the public is not going to understand what this means.
No.
Okay. All right. They're not going to have a clue. They're going to see some byline in the paper. Great. Now we're wasting money, taxpayers' money on looking for fake UFOs or whatever. That's the attitude that the majority of people are going to have out there, which is pretty insane. If they took the time to look into it, they would see it's a much different picture, but we're not going to get that. So, I mean, how is this going to really catch the people of the United States, knowing that they are now officially on the taxpayer hook for looking into unidentified aerial phenomena?
In any deal, everyone must receive consideration. And so essentially we have to determine some way of offering these people something from this that they actually want. And I've got to admit, I'm not super confident that I'm going to be able to find such a thing anytime soon. You know, I mean, because ultimately, you know, well, look, during any period in time, a large percentage of people are this way, but during these periods of time, even more people are this way. Most people are just treading water, right? And so the only thing that they're really caring about are things that they're going to impact them in the next 24 hours, right? Next 48 hours. And so all this stuff, it's for most people, it's like, okay, well, that's great, but how's it going to impact me next week? Well, it probably won't, right? Now, what's interesting is your guest tonight. One of the things I loved about what she talked about was you know, the commonality between what a lot of people get when they start going through this experience, they start going through this process, and talking about, you know, losing the fear of death, which I know, you know, not everyone gets the benefit of, but you know, like you know, our friend Dave here. But I thought it was interesting that she brought that up as, and see, to me that's different. Like if you said to people, okay, you know, no, it's more that this is the beginning of a learning process, and through this process, you're going to learn a bunch of new things that you didn't know before. And one of the things you're going to get out of it is you're probably going to lose your fear of death. Like that's interesting. Like that's something that I think people will be like, okay, I'll watch that, right? But no one's going to say that. And so I don't know how you motivate people. Like I don't even know how I motivate, you know, my brother or my wife or my sister to care about this stuff. Right? I mean, for them, it's just like, you know, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, but I mean, either way, this isn't. I think for the UFO public, we need to understand that this isn't a sprint. This is still a marathon.
Oh my, yes.
Disclosure. You know, we're nowhere closer. Now, I'm still would love to hear someone tell me why now. That is a huge.
I think it's the radar, Dave. I really do. I think it's just coincidental. I think technology.
Well, I
just
did have a
showed up.
talk. I did have a talk with Bob McGuire earlier today, or it was yesterday. Pardon me. And I said to him, I said, Bob, I said, you realize that you are the right guy at the right time to figure out the whole Fitbit information. Because I believe Fitbits can record abductions. I really do.
Do you realize how freaking cool that would be? I mean, do you realize like the market that would create, how many other devices I would want to build to put on your body? Oh my God. I would want to cover you in telemetry.
Well, when Science Bob and I had our, I don't know what it was, a number of months ago, his Fitbit read that he was awake for 90 minutes.
And had movement.
Now, Jonathan Davies, who's been a guest on this show, people know him, he actually put it out on Twitter, and other people have checked their Fitbits who claim to be abductees or contactees.
Ooh.
And they have seen times when they have been awake when they thought they were sleeping.
Ooh. So who? Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry, deep breath.
There is something here, dude.
Who's collecting this data?
Nobody.
What?
That we know of. Nobody.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll have to.
So you may have radar.
Wow.
Up in these multi-million-dollar aircraft, or you may have a couple $100 Fitbit on your wrist that tells you when you're awake when you're not supposed to.
I mean, honestly, like telemetry is a beautiful thing. I mean, you would not believe how many marriages have been ended over Fitbit data. You would not believe how many legal documents have been contested and then won or lost over Fitbit data. I mean, it's big time stuff, right? I mean, it's human telemetry, and boy, man, if you could start really, especially if you could start finding some commonality between all that data. And the thing is that, you know, we've had cases. There was another case, I can't remember the guy's name, where he had his phone was tracking it. And he basically felt like he got pulled up into a ship, and he actually got an Apple engineer to look at his phone, and from all that they could tell, his phone for a period of time was floating above his house.
I never heard that story.
What could you? I got to figure out where that was from. I think it was from like a documentary or something. And it's like, okay, so what do you do with that one? You know. I mean, at some point, people have to start like taking this data seriously. I mean, I don't know.
It would be very interesting, as Bob McGuire and I talked about it. It would be very interesting to see or to have people studied who are abductees wearing Fitbits. And the thing is, to kick off a study like that, you only need 10 people. That's it.
Well, and what I find super interesting is that why aren't the Fitbits being interrupted? I mean,
No
does this
idea.
mean that we could have been collecting data this whole time? I mean, should we just be like filling stuffed cows full of telemetry machine devices and then like hoping that the cow gets I mean, like
Every cow in North America and the world is going to get a Fitbit now. Around their eggs. Oh, yeah. Every cow is going to get a Fitbit.
Absolutely.
You know what? Unbelievable.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
man.
And it is something to track, and today is a very good day in ufology.
Yes.
Whether, like I said, whether you love Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon or not, whether you believe them or not, whether you think they're trolls to the UFO community or not, every now and again you got to bite your tongue and give credit where credit is due. And these gentlemen helped play a major part in bringing UFOs to the latest American defense budget, and now we see where it goes.
And just as one more point is that one of the things this is going to lead to is it's going to start legitimizing enough that we finally might start seeing grant movement in the academic world.
Absolutely. John Hudson, thank you for eating up all of the final half hour on this all-important topic. We'll see you in the after show, and thank you so much once again for being just a rock star for us here on the Unbiased UFO Report. Big thank you to Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers for Ghosts of the Great White North, and a fantastic guest from the Conjuring House, Andrea Perron. Make sure you check the replays on our YouTube channel. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, LGAP, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. There we go, little Johnny Hudson.
All right, Dave.
Fap's, not Fap, but Super Quest is in the background. Tell him, Captain, you son of a bitch. Take us off the air, you prick. I can just see it now. By the way, hi, little Marky Spender. How are you? And Derek Ning, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. How's the Pepsi in a Coke bottle?
As long as you don't think about the Coke bottle, it's really good.
Do you chill the Coke bottle before you drink it?
No. I actually don't like my Pepsi super cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I loved it ice cold.
I like. I mean,
ice.
I like it cold, but if it's too cold, it actually it negates some of the sugars. It's not as sweet that way. Just saying.
Shirky Poo, if you're listening, I will use the news tomorrow night. Hey, John, SuperQuest wants to know if you're going to join us on his big panel. I think I'm going to be there. Merle's going to be there on January 8th.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah,
By the
that'd be
way,
totally
it's
fun.
snowing outside. John, I woke up
Is it
this
really?
morning. It was minus 17 Celsius. Minus 17.
See, that's good for like a lab, for certain things, and even colder. But it's not good for humans. It's really
Right
not.
now, it's minus 7 Celsius, which is 19 Fahrenheit, which it's going to drop to minus 3 Fahrenheit or minus 19 Celsius tonight.
Just wrong.
Yeah. Put it this way. You know when you go later on in the day, it's supposed to get warmer? Tomorrow, our day, it gets colder. So tomorrow or Thursday, it'll be minus 7 through the morning. By 10 a.m., it'll be minus 9. Then it warms up to minus 8. By showtime tomorrow night, it will be minus 14.
Like, what other sign do you need? How else can nature say go away? You're not meant to be here. Only things covered in fur are supposed to live here.
Well, why do you think most Canadians have beards and plaid? You know what I didn't know before I moved up here? That deer and cows don't feel cold. Because
Like
they're
to the point where they can do harm to themselves?
no. Well, they feel when it gets really cold, they
Right.
feel
Extreme. Okay, so they can protect themselves from frostbite, but they don't
their
feel
hair-
other very. Oh wow.
yeah, their hair. Hey, Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson. How you doing? Look at this right there. Greetings, Earthlings. Love her. She's awesome. What happens is their hair is hollow, so it doesn't absorb water.
Oh wow.
It
Sweet.
doesn't absorb water, and
Oh, good
therefore, when
design.
it stays warm like an incubator from the body heat.
Oh wow.
So what happens is when the animals congregate and all snuggle down together, they're feeding off each other's heat.
Very clever. Very, very clever.
And it's because we are all Chad Smith.
So Dave, so she basically brought something forward tonight in her interview that I'd like to get your feedback on, because it's a hypothesis that I've been kind of playing with for a couple months now, and it unfortunately solves a lot of problems, but I'm not happy with it in general. So I'm kind of curious what you think. So, at one point she said that her mother had said to her on at least one occasion that that her and her father knew that they basically bought the house for her, right? And she alluded to some other things in the interview and so forth, and what that all kind of leads to is this idea that essentially that everything that happened was really only supposed to be seen from the perspective of her and maybe a few other people that were directly involved. And it essentially was a staged production for her to wake her up in some way. And the fact that the rest of us saw parts of it and it doesn't make sense perfectly logical because it wasn't meant for us, right? It's not coded to our brains. It's not coded to how we think. It's not going to trigger us the way it triggered that person, right? And so part of me is just really starting to think that, you know, I mean, if you want to combine all these objects into a unified platform, and you say, okay, you know, maybe an orb is the most basic Lego piece of a consciousness, and if you know, if you believe some of the research that says that, you know, these orbs can essentially, you know, take some of what's in your mind and take some of what they know and basically turn themselves into whatever it is that they want to make you feel the most comfortable. So some people see a UFO, some people see a Bigfoot, some people see a ghost, some people see you know, I guess in some level what you should be asking yourself at a psychiatric level is, why did you need to see that sort of creature to wake up? Probably speaks a lot of things about how your brain works, that you needed to see a Bigfoot versus your brother needing to see a UFO. I don't know. But the point is that what if essentially everything, what if the reason why none of this makes sense is because we're all trying to figure it out from the perspective of someone who wasn't meant to see it? It's all just meant to be seen by the direct people involved. It's all just personal lessons. It's personal wake-up calls. That's all it is. And while we can share them as much as we want to, they're never going to make sense, because all you're ever seeing is a garbled message that was meant for a different set of ears and a different set of eyes.
Very true. Very true. It is pretty important. Pretty important. What's going on, man?
And so that basically means that that you can study the framework, you can study the method for which all this is happening, but ultimately, whether it's a ghost or a UFO or a Bigfoot doesn't matter anymore.
Jules
Because
says,
it's all just one thing.
Jules says, I think some people in areas are like a prism. The phenomena shines through, and other people see bits of it. That's very profound there, Luscious Jules. Very profound.
Yeah.
Good night, gorgeous Teresa.
I think there's something to that. I do. You know, because we've all met catalyst people, you know. Well, I mean, like Samantha, right?
Mm-hmm. Good night, Chad Smith. The Chad Smith.
Bailing now, Chad? Jeez, man, I thought better of you, man. It's early.
I know. Well, he's probably going to run to the donut shop for his 15-minute break.
He's getting soft in his old age.
That he is. It's the way it goes, man. It's the way it goes. Man, what a day. What a day.
I mean, she was really fantastic.
Andrea is amazing.
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 First time I've ever like totally empathize with Merle not speaking at all. Like normally I'm very confused by his behavior. Like like he seems to like be in physical pain for each word he gives up. But in this case, I was like, wow. Like I would have just shut up myself. Like she was awesome, and she was, like I said, like it wasn't like what she said was super fascinating, but like how she said it was also super compelling. I mean, it was like, wow, man, that was cool. That was really cool.
Look at Pinzer here. I was about to close my eyes, but I'll be honest with myself. I'll just put a TV show on anyway, so I'd rather be here. That's a nice listener right there.
Yep.
She cares. She really cares.
Yep. Although I must admit, sometimes I like to find like an old, like one of those old TV shows that used to run late at night when I was a kid, because the exit music of those shows always like makes me sleepy.
Well, Acreon says 5 times Merle spoke at Max, and he said, "I apologize for interrupting." That is Merle.
Merle's like, I know I've been too verbose, but if I can just say one word.
Yes. Well, I mean, don't forget. I mean, Merle's the type of guy where he loves to promote his favorite fruit, honeydew.
Well, I mean, I do admit honeydew melon is fantastic.
It's terrible. Terrible. If you have a choice between cantaloupe and honeydew, you always got to go with the cantaloupe.
Oh my goodness. I don't know where you get your fruit from, but wow. Like, I don't know if we can be friends anymore, Dave. That was horrible.
John, you
I can't believe you said that.
I haven't fired you yet for believing that you're on Team Rock rather than Team Stump.
You need to go down to Tahiti, okay, and go down to Tahiti and try and eat a papaya, eat every fruit that you get here down there, and it will be an experience like you'd never have. Like it'll essentially ruin those fruits for you for a period of time. It'll take you a while before you can eat them again, because they're so astounding. And so you go down and the cantaloupe down there is very, very good as well. But like, you have properly ripened. Oh my God, it's just heaven on earth, absolute heaven on earth.
See, Pinzer's got it right. Her and her partner argue all the time because she's cantaloupe and he is honeydew. See, that's the problem. Hold on, let's give some relationship advice here. Hi, gorgeous Pam McSee, by the way. She's on Team Honeydew. So is Laura. God, you guys eat. Yeah, but you guys have no say. You eat breakfast for dinner too, so you guys are already, missing a lobe that's not firing in your brain. So, I mean, you look at somebody like Pinzer here, who's cantaloupe all the way. I mean, this could spark relationship troubles here.
Definitely something you'd want to cover in
we got to change him from honeydew to cantaloupe.
Prenup sort of situation. Well, the thing is, it's not that I don't love cantaloupe. I do. I love cantaloupe, but and part of it too is that I got cantaloupe all the time growing up, and honeydew melon I rarely got. It was always like a special treat. So part of it too was I was brainwashed.
I eat it. Okay, I totally eat it. All right, I'm not going to throw it away or anything. But I mean, now I will say this: watermelon over honeydew and cantaloupe. Watermelon, fantastic.
I don't know. I'm always disappointed, but watermelon's always. I don't know. You can find good watermelon if you try, but it takes some effort.
No.
Do you get a lot of fruit where you live?
We get a lot of berries.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, my hometown of Abbotsford is like the raspberry capital of North America.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. You know what's funny is true story.
I love raspberries.
You know how everybody who talks about Knott's Berry Farm, okay, they always say, "Oh, you got to pick up the jam. The jam is fantastic. Got to get some of their jam." So I remember last time I was at Knott's Berry Farm with my parents, I go get some raspberry jam. My mom wants some raspberry jam. And I turn and look at the label, and the label says berries from Abbotsford, British Columbia. Like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
That's awesome.
You gotta be kidding me right now. We just traveled 2,000 miles to get berries from home. Right? Yeah. Blueberries are getting big too. I love blueberries. Blueberries is probably my favorite fruit. I just pig out on blueberries. Blueberries don't last long in our house.
Oh man, it's one of the things that you really get you're really blessed and you get very spoiled living in California, because I mean not the whole state, but like the Bay Area where I live. I mean, the whole reason why the Bay Area exists is because originally it wasn't called Silicon Valley. It was called the Garden of Earthly Delights. because this is some of the most fertile soil in the world. And
Mhm.
like I mean, try to not grow something here. Good luck. I mean,
Mhm.
the soil here is insanely. I mean, it's insane what you can grow. So like all growing up, I had like 8 fruit trees in my backyard. I mean, I'd come home from school every day and just go out in my backyard, pick a grapefruit, pick an apple, pick a
See,
pear, pick
grapefruit
a.
I can't stand. Grapefruit I can't stand.
Oh,
Huckleberries are good.
I've never had a huckleberry. I actually didn't even know huckleberries were real.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was just part of the phrase. I didn't realize it was actually
No,
the
we'd eat
huckleberries were
'em
actually real berries.
all. There would be nothing better, like, say you go on a hike and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, man, I'm hungry." And next thing you know, you look beside you, there's a giant huckleberry bush there. Be fantastic. Huckleberries.
Yeah, when I'm in that shape, best thing for me is chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk also works very well in curbing the sting from hot sauce.
Oh. Yes. Yeah.
Now, rose hip berries, terrible.
What?
Rose hip berries.
Rose hip berries?
Yeah.
Okay, now you're getting weird on me.
If you go in the backyard, there's a bunch.
This is like berry woo.
Yeah. The deer and the bears love them. Love them.
So then shouldn't you be working to get it off your property?
No, why?
Well, because it is going to attract the bears.
So? John, you're probably the kind of guy who likes marmalade jam.
Oh no, that stuff's horrible.
No,
I don't never understand why anyone like marmalade.
Oh yeah.
Awful.
I said to my dad about a year ago, I said, "Dad, you know how I know you're old?" He goes, "How?" I said, "You started eating marmalade jam."
Oh,
that shit's terrible.
That's horrible.
Honestly.
No. That's horrible. Why would no?
Oh.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, there's a lot of things like that. I just can't. A lot of those things you have to eat growing up. If you don't eat it growing up, you don't eat it later.
No.
Like kimchi. Wow.
So one of my son's best friends, Jake. You want to see here? Disgusting. Okay. My son goes over to play at Jake's house this past weekend. And Jake's mom, really nice lady. I actually work with her in my daytime job. She's like, "Hey, do you want a taste of dinner?" She goes, "We're having tacos." I said, "Oh, what kind of tacos?" "Deer heart tacos."
Excuse me?
Deer heart tacos.
Deer heart
tacos.
Okay. I'm with you.
And I'm like, "Nope. Not at all." Dave is not eating deer heart.
So what do they do? Do they like grind it up like in a blender? And so it's like
so. You shoot the deer. You take out the heart. Cook the heart up. Probably grind it up.
One of my big fears with contact is, Dave, is that we're going to make first contact with a species that has never ever been anything but vegetarian, and we're going to have to explain to them why we eat other animals, and we're going to have to look at them, see the looks on their faces when we explain to them what we do. I don't want to.
You don't even have to, John. You don't even have to worry about that because all you have to do is bring them bacon. That's it. Yep, that's all you have to do.
It's so true.
Bacon.
It's been true for so long.
Yeah.
You could even go back in time and influence historical events with bacon.
Yep. Zark Muckerberg, moose is good. I've had moose. Moose is very good. The livers, no. That's disgusting.
Which one is it?
Zark. My family eats moose and elk liver. I can't even smell
elk liver.
Yeah.
Elk liver?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
See, that's the part that's so creepy. Is it on one level you guys are eating like animals that, like, most people don't eat, but then of all the body parts within the animal, you pick something that, like, I mean, honestly, like, I wouldn't even be happy about cow heart tacos, right? I mean, it's like,
no, don't want that. Don't need that. Ugh.
There's this restaurant in Saratoga that I cannot remember the name of. Before everything went crazy, my sister and I used to have dinner there every year for my birthday. But it's basically this fantastic fondue place, and they do like 2 courses of fondue. The first course is cheese-based fondue, and then the second course is a chocolate-based fondue. And for the cheese-based fondue, they pride themselves in a collection of exotic meats. And so you can get some pretty crazy stuff. You can get like ostrich, you can get like rattlesnake, you can get zebra, you can get like all sorts of crazy stuff, like really exotic stuff. Like, and some people really get into it. I mean. To each their own.
Email me at dave@spacedoutradio.com and I'll send you my address.
Although I tell you, if you really like meat, the best thing you can ever do to yourself, it's the kindest thing you could ever do to yourself, is go to a good, proper, big, well-funded Jamaican steakhouse. And just fast for a day or two before you go. And it is, I mean, have you ever been to one of these ones where they just walk around with the plates of meat? It's the craziest thing. You just sit down at the table, and just all night long, there's just people walking around the restaurant with plates of different meat, and they just walk up to the table and they show it to you, and they go, "Do you want some?" And you say yes, and they take it and they put it on your plate and they walk away. And then 3 seconds later, someone else comes, "Do you want some?" And they just keep doing that forever and ever. And you can eat yourself to death, like completely to death, and just meat. Just meat. It's astounding. It is absolutely. It is astounding. It is an astounding
By the way,
experience.
I put a new shirt up on the store tonight.
Cool.
Oh, it's not up there yet. Or is it? Did it come up? Is it populated yet? Hold on.
Zark Muckerberg is a great handle. I like that. It's funny.
No, it hasn't populated on the store yet. It will soon. It is called Paranormal.
Oh, nice.
Paranormal. Got it up there. It'll be up there for probably tomorrow. So it'll be cool. Nice to have it all on. So you can get your paranormal shirts. It's always cool.
Oh man, I couldn't remember the name of the places. You know the name of the places? La Fondue. Who'd have thunk?
Nice.
Here I am trying to find the fondue place, and it's called La Fondue.
Fantastic times, man.
Oh, here we go. So ostrich, Wyoming buffalo, Texas venison, wild boar, Louisiana alligator, colossal shrimp, dayboat scallops, swordfish, spiced swordfish, and a lot of other weird stuff. But those are like a black tiger shrimp. I don't know. They like, and some of the stuff's like, it's really crazy. But to me, it's just like, anyone who's just like, you get into anything and you start like looking into all the different crazy options.
Well, on that note, my friend,
yes. Roasted pineapple.
we're gonna wrap this up because I got to get up early with my boy tomorrow, and it's snowing outside again. So it's gonna snow all night, which means that I'm gonna have to.
So you actually have to shovel your way out in the morning?
No, hell no.
Oh,
That's what 4x4 is for.
Okay, but I mean, like, what about this? Like from your front door to your car?
I have a snowblower.
Okay, but
Yeah,
but on an extreme night, you might actually have to go blow snow before you leave.
It has happened.
But that's not common.
I've never had one of those days up here. Like ours is about accumulation over accumulation. It's not like the East Coast of the United States where boom, they wake up and there's like 4 feet of snow.
Oh.
Now I'm sure that's happened here before.
Yeah, I've woken up where like when we went to sleep, the snow, like all the cars were like just on the ground, and when we woke up, the cars were completely covered.
Yeah.
Like gone.
I've only seen that a couple of times in my lifetime. But no, around here, let's see, the snow, like I said a week or two ago, the snow we have here will be around till April now. In certain parts, May.
Oh, so it just never melts.
No, it's too cold.
And it stays cold all the time.
The only place it melts is around trees.
Oh.
Because the trees suck up the moisture. But you see, the other problem that you have is like where all the forest fires were, the snow actually creates an insulation on the ground.
Okay.
As it piles up, which means that all of the root system that is still burning stays warm.
Oh.
So it takes anywhere from
really?
Takes anywhere from up to 2 years for those roots to stop burning. So that's why, like, all of a sudden you see, like, there's no lightning strikes or anything, but forest fires have started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just so wrong.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway,
there was a family just a couple miles from me where on Christmas Day, the fire department got called out to their house because their giant tree in their backyard had caught fire. And when they investigated it, it caught fire through the root system.
That's interesting. I wonder if anyone looked into that for Chris Buttsow's case.
No idea.
Because that tree in his yard bursting in the fire was like a big deal. I'd never thought of fire being passed by the root system.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting.
There was forest fires there previously.
Honestly, I had no idea that forest fire could pass by the root system. Because my assumption was underground there isn't enough oxygen for the fire to persist.
Very true.
But
very true.
But if it just maintains a high enough temperature, it'll transition back to flame as soon as it gets oxygen.
Yeah.
Just looking for something to eat.
And snow is an insulin.
Craziness.
Yeah.
I gotta look into that now.
That's why what they hope for is you need about 3 feet of snow or an accumulation of 3 feet over time in order to melt into the ground to get deep enough into the root system to put those embers out.
Wow.
Yeah. I think you need 3 feet of snow is what it is.
And so from a nature's design point of view, what this guarantees is that if a forest gets really overgrown and a fire doesn't clear out enough, that basically for the next 2 or 3 seasons, secondary and tertiary fires will be started to clean up the rest of the debris, because essentially all that will be hit by those sustained embers.
Yeah. See, the one of the biggest
problems. It's a good design.
see, one of the biggest problems that people don't understand is forest fires are actually natural forest fires, not ones started by a cigarette or somebody who
Right.
goes camping. Okay, but natural forest fires are very, very healthy for the planet.
Oh, I mean, here a lot of our trees live off pine cones. Pine cones only open in fire,
Mhm.
right? So the tree is designed to
Yeah.
only have children in fire. That's it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, the fire is part of their natural system. It's like water and air for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
No,
we get in there and mess it up.
absolutely. Absolutely. But the problem is we become too proficient in putting out forest fires. But then there's another problem that you have, and that other problem is the area that was supposed to burn doesn't burn, which is why you get these super fires that is going on. It's not, I'm gonna choose my words very carefully because they're not my words. They're my neighbor across the street is a forestry officer.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And so his job is to go to the logging sites and make sure everything is being done legally.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So he was telling me that the super fires that we are seeing in California, in British Columbia, and Washington, and Oregon are the result of us putting out the fires too quick and not allowing them to burn their cycle.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
not as much the argument, and this isn't being a climate change denier, okay? But it's not as much climate change as it is
Climate
for,
engineering.
as it is that we've learned as human beings, because we live everywhere now, that when a fire's natural path is to burn, say, right over a highway or right
Right.
through a small town,
Right.
right? We put them out. So what happens is we do a great job at putting them out, but we do a piss poor job at going into that area after that and clearing out the debris that will start a new fire. So, for instance, we're not clearing out the dead trees. We're not clearing out the 300-year-old old growth.
Why doesn't
Because
anyone go here? Everyone will, like, there's bidding contracts to go get that wood because it's valuable.
the burnt or the
Well, I mean, but just anything that's fallen that hasn't burnt yet. I mean, a lot of that
no,
stuff can be reclaimed.
oh yeah, the dead trees are the one, like a green tree doesn't cause forest fires.
Right. It's actually very
Okay.
hard to light it's very, very hard to light a
Yeah.
really healthy tree on fire.
Yeah. You cannot
Very,
light
very
a
hard.
tree. It's damn near impossible.
Yep.
Okay. But
Thermite.
the problem is you have so many dead trees in between. When lightning strikes, it hits one of those dry embers, and there's dry moss on there. If you have dry moss, now you have a
You have kindling.
you have kindling.
That's how
Right.
that's how we're taught to make fires as kids. We grab some
Yeah.
of that dry moss and we
Yeah. Like if you go around my area now, it was impossible. Like 2 years ago, I had spot span that I could go anywhere and get firewood. Anywhere. You go look now, it is brutally hard to find firewood.
Interesting.
Brutally hard. Because everybody's clearing it out. But if you go deeper into the forest, that's where you need to go get the deadfall, because it's the deadfall that is causing the fires.
Huh. Well, yeah, I've never understood I've never understood why there hasn't been. It seems to me like with a lot of things that we have in this world, the market response focuses on recovery afterwards. It doesn't focus on prevention of the activity. You know, like you're good luck finding a device that tries to prevent someone from stealing your car. No, after the car is stolen, they'll help you track it, right? And to me, it almost seems like this is the same sort of thing where, like, you know, at some point, I don't know, it just seems to me like at some point we should be able to like have individual lots have their own somewhat defense to fire, like somehow, you know, spread out that risk and basically have like defense systems, you know, like that could protect, you know, a house or a neighborhood, and, you know, essentially just let the fire go around it, you know, because I mean, you know, the last thing you want to do is to be putting, you know, and the thing is like it happened in Santa Cruz. The whole reason my brother just moved is because his house almost got burned down, and you know there were certain areas where the firefighters let it burn because it needed to. Okay, but how do you tell that to the 30 people that just lost a house? You know,
It's a tough
You know?
call.
It sucks.
It does suck. It sucks terribly.
It's damn pretty though.
Forest fires?
Forest fires, man, so gorgeous.
No, man.
You don't like the look of fire?
Well, I love the look of fire, not a forest fire.
Well, yeah, I don't want to watch the whole forest fire burn, but you just watch a small area and those flames are just, they're alive, man. Absolutely alive.
What's really cool is watching how they can create their own weather pattern.
Oh, have you seen that fire tornado?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, was that scary? I can't even imagine. Someone needs to weaponize that. That was crazy. I cannot even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine like walking up to like some base and like 16 like fire tornadoes come out at you, start like heading toward you?
Terrible.
It's like
Thurston
a bad
Howell
Bond movie.
III. How are you? Well, John, on that note, I got to get to bed.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I kept you talking. I
I
apologize.
got to get to no. I just love talking with you, brother.
It's all good.
That's what it comes
Feelings
down
quite
to.
mutual. Feelings quite mutual. All right,
Tomorrow night on the show, Bob Davis is going to be with us.
cool.
We're talking the science of consciousness and extraordinary experiences.
Ooh.
This is going to be incredible. We also got another lady who is going to join us tomorrow.
Oh wow. I really like him a lot.
And let me see who that is. That will be Linda Noyes is going to join us. And we're going to talk about the spiritual transformative experiences. Science Bob is also going to join us as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Far out.
That's what we're going to do tomorrow night. It's going to be a great
Sweet.
show. And what else do we have?
Lots of
Let's see here.
questions for that one.
Just so you know, we will be doing a Christmas Eve show. I think Lynn is actually thinking about doing a Christmas night show. And I believe we will be on the air on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I'm not sure yet. Not sure. But we'll figure out the Christmas Eve show. I don't know what we're going to do there, but we'll have something on the air for you. Why not?
Absolutely.
Why not? Our radio stations will get canned stuff. We'll just go live on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll turn our laptops with Yule logs on them, and we'll play Christmas music with, you know.
Why not? Why not? I have some plans.
I got an accordion. I can. Yeah.
I bet you're an accordion kind of guy.
Never played one. Always wanted to try. It looks fascinating.
All right, Spooky Morales, time to warm it up, man.
Yeah.
Let us know when you're ready. Want to say a big thank you tonight to Catfish, Melissa, Fapster ×3, Jules, Thomas, and Double Tim for the amazing super chats. The super chats are always a great way to support what we do on a nightly basis. So thank you so much for the love. Thank you for the love for all the veterans who tune on into this show and those in our chat rooms. You always have a safe home here at Spaced Out Radio. So chat away. And all our regulars who are here nightly, those in the chat room, those who are not, man, do we appreciate your fun times and making an interesting, fun evening each and every night. So tomorrow night, Bob Davis, Linda Noyes, Science Bob, Consciousness. It's going to be great. Don't forget, if you're not following us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Go follow us. You'll like us. We're good people. We're very good people. And we got a new logo as well. How badass is that? So, Mr. Spooky Morales, it is time for you, buddy, to take us